Lonely, I'm so lonely.
TikToks, I'm
Over.
The Rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. Your friendly neighborhood philosopher, D. Wood. And we have Suleiman here saying, "Where is David?" Right here, baby, right here. He's right here. And with him,
Right here, baby.
is the Apostate Prophet.
That's me.
Apostate Prophet. And we will be talking about one of the most prestigious awards a person could ever win. Some people strive for the Congressional Medal of Honor if you're a soldier. Actors strive to win Oscars. If you've done really, really great things in America, you can win the Medal of Freedom and so on. But only one person can win Antisemite of the Year in 2024. And that person was Candace Owens.
It kind of strikes me as a political move this time. I was kind of expecting there are many candidates, especially this year, that have been really trying very, very hard to reach the status and receive this award. I would say that I would place some people above her when it comes to the performance in anti-Semitism. However, there is one thing that is significant about her, about Candace Owens, which is that she has had a very large impact, more so than these other jokers. And she has made a full twist and brought it to the mainstream to share this wonderful wisdom after much, much research, meaning reading her comment sections, to that Israel is evil, Jews are wrong, Jews are evil, Jews are basically behind all the problems in the world. Excuse me, not Jews, Frankists and Zionists.
Frankists? It's Frankenstein! Look at the message they tried to send in that book, that they're creating a monster! Frankenstein! Oh, so what you're saying there is there are obviously people who hate Jews more, who have more deranged conspiracy theories about Jews, but why Candace is special this year is you already had people who were following Nick Fuentes, right? You had those kinds of people, but people would look at that group and go, "Oh, come on, these guys are a bunch of Nazi creeps, right? They're not gonna be caring much what these guys are saying." And these guys already had kind of all the influence they're going to have. Maybe they pick up some more people as they go along, but that was already kind of a done deal. We know what kind of followers you have and so on. Whereas Candace has been building up a following for years of like conservatives and so on. And then, after years of not blasting away at the Jews for being Jews who are behind everything and conspiring behind behind closed doors, who have their hands in everything, now she's leading her followers in that direction. And they might have been people who weren't going to go in that direction, but because they're following Candace, they're now far more accepting of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and so on. And so is that basically what we're getting at here? That there
Yes,
could be people who are worse people, significantly worse people, more evil people. They hate Jews more and so on. So you're not saying she's anti-Semite of the year in that sense. It's that she's had a pretty big impact by bringing people who didn't have that view over to the conspiracy theory side.
Yes, yes. She has become known as Candace Owens and things like that for her recent actions and her recent behavior, the twisting of things, and all that. It all started with reacting to October 7, reacting to what how Israel is handling the response to October 7, and then in the name of criticizing Israel. I mean, I'm just asking questions, guys. I'm just asking questions about Israel, and then she turned that into basically downplaying the Holocaust, questioning the medical experiments committed by the Nazis.
That was creepy.
Justifying book burnings and so on. It's just she even started like this path. She obviously recently got introduced to this whole anti-Semitism stick, and she was like, "Oh, this is nice. This is nice. People seem to love it." And I was just fired by my boss anyway, so by my Jewish boss anyway. Um, so let me just go at this. But she's approaching it from the dumbest perspectives. Like it's not even sophisticated. It's not even deeply well informed. For example, she went for the whole idea of the book burnings, and she started justifying the book burnings by saying, and guys, and we have been informed, and we have been told all the time that Nazis were evil because they burnt these books, but we never talk about what kind of books they were, and they were some really really bad books. And she goes into how the books burned were books about degeneracy and sexuality and so on. This is a very very low bar talking point because it is a lie, and it is a lie that Jew haters and neo-Nazis learn very early on. They weren't the only books that were burned. Many books were burned, including pro-peace books, including just completely regular books, regular novels by Jews, regular novels by people that the Nazi government didn't like. Books like there recently was a new movie about it. What's it called? All Quiet on the Western Front, a German novel written in the late 1920s. The book was burned. It wasn't about sexual perversion. It was about how harsh it was to be on the front and to be kind of disregarded as a soldier of Germany. The Nazis burned it and accused the author of being anti-German and pro-peace pacifist propagandist and so on. It wasn't just perversions and degeneracy and all that stuff. She is going down the route of approaching these pro-Nazi talking points from the most ignorant perspective. And the thing is, when you have a platform like her and she reaches millions of people, it gets very, very difficult to respond to her and take down her things because she makes the claim and she appeals to people who are hungry and who are at home and who for the first time in their lives finally agree with a black person, with a black woman. And I'm like, oh, she's so hot. She's so hot. Actually, a black woman who can say something intelligent. I thought they were all lower beings. Wow. And then they start following her and sharing her stuff. And this is what made her very influential and a very important anti-Semite. But yeah, there's a lot to go into.
Someone here said, provide your evidence for what books were burnt. I don't know if this is a person
Look up a
trolling.
list of what books were burned, and you will find the records of them, including by the Nazis themselves. You will find on that list the book I just mentioned, All Quiet on the Western Front. People have read it. Lots of people have read it. It's a very well-known book. There is nothing perverted in it.
Yeah,
they just didn't like it.
Yeah, so I guess the idea. So here's the idea. Am I right, AP? That the Germans decided, hey, we're going to have all books that aren't in line with our propaganda. We're going to just go around burning those books so that people can't develop any ideas that are contrary to ours. And among those books are books promoting some sort of degeneracy. But also any books that were not in line with their propaganda. And so Candace comes out and defends them and says, "But look at these books that were promoting degeneracy. That's all the Germans were against. They didn't want this degeneracy." And you're saying they were actually burning all kinds of other books, and it was actually more because it wasn't in line with their propaganda.
Yes,
and then she ends up defending it.
And we have seen some of it when we went to the Holocaust Museum together just recently. It's one of those topics that you are presented with, where they give you examples of books that were burned and the evidence for it and so on. They are books of all kinds of different varieties, scientific books, medical books, different theories, or just novels, poetry books, just random things that the Nazis thought, this is un-German. This is peaceful. This is anti-war propaganda. It needs to be banned. Burn it to the ground. And of course, everything written by Jews.
Yeah, everything by Jews. Kawee, what a quickie dink. And I'm sure Candace would say, but the Jews are degenerate, so that makes perfect sense. All right, guys. So we actually we're very open-minded, so we're actually going to let Candace defend herself here. We're going to look at a list of the finalists for Antisemite of the Year award for all of you. Oh, I can't Candace defend herself. How dare you attack? We're going to let her. We're going to let her. We've got multiple videos of Candace defending her claims and so on. So we are going to check out the list of the finalists so we can see her competition, what she was up against, the mountain of anti-Semites she had to climb to be the top Antisemite of the year. We will read the descriptions of some of the finalists. We will check out, for a summary, probably just go to the Wikipedia article, which lists them, and then we'll actually look at videos for some confirmation. We'll check out what she said to Piers Morgan, because Piers Morgan asked her about the claims of charges of anti-Semitism, and she actually gave an acceptance speech for accepting Anti-Semite of the Year awards. We're going to check all that out, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be action-packed and super based, but check this out. Let's see the finalists here. All right, these were the finalists. 2024 Anti-Semite of the Year, top 10 finalists, and this is from a channel called Stop Anti-Semitism. I don't know if they run the whole thing or if they're posting it or what. We'll find out maybe. But 2024 Anti-Semite of the Year, top 10 finalists. AP, how many of these people do you know? What do you know about them? Let's go. Hassan Piker, what do you know? The quick version.
Online gamer, streamer, or gamer turned streamer, who is one of the least informed people with an opinion online, but also very popular. He is a socialist, communist, leftist guy who advocates for hardline socialist revolutionary things, and also, for example, was completely praising the killing of a billionaire and so on.
If he had written a book that was available before World War II, would the Germans have burned his communist propaganda?
Yes.
Interesting. All right. Next up, we have Cori Bush. What do you know about her?
I know very little about her, except that she's part of the
squad.
I don't know much about her, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither. I'm trying to think. Fortunately, they have a description. They have a description of her, so we'll see, because I don't know either. John Cusack, the actor. I just know that he posted some tweets earlier this year or last year or something.
Well, he's been going hardcore anti-Israel and with like the most uninformed garbage opinions that normally come out of the Palestinian territories.
Right. So he's an actor, but yeah, I have to say, when I'm looking at the list, there are people who I know they've said things, but when I can't really think of what they've said, then I have to start wondering, can they really win this thing? So already I'm like, okay, don't know much about Cori Bush. I can't imagine her winning. Don't know much about this actor. Can't imagine him winning. But then we have Greta Thunberg. What do we know about Greta?
Who is that? Never heard of her.
How dare you say you don't know who I am? You've stolen my childhood with that remark, AP.
How dare you? Entire ecosystems are collapsing. She just went completely off the rails with after October 7th. She started accusing Israel of contributing to global warming and the climate crisis because they just will not let the Palestinians live in peace. She doesn't seem to understand that the war and the conflict exists not because Israel doesn't want the other side to exist. It's actually the opposite.
It's not the opposite. It's just because of the oil that's polluting the environment. How dare you?
Then we have Jake Shields. Now, Jake should not be on this list, right? Sometimes you have terrorists, right, who carry out a terrorist attack, and we think it's because of the person's ideology. Other times they say, oh, this person had mental health problems, and that gets overused. Like, how come every single new terrorist attack they say this person has mental problems or something like this? Like, how do so many people develop sudden onset jihad syndrome and decide that, oh, I just have to go out and slaughter unbelievers in the name of Allah? So it gets overused. But guess what? Occasionally there are people who simply have mental health problems and they go out and do crazy stuff. That's kind of like Jake Shields. He's a guy who's been punched in his face so much that you can't exactly blame him. And guys, I'm fairly serious right now in that you take like football players who become violent over time, and then they eventually examine their brains and they find out that their brains are mush from concussions and so on. Yeah, them doing a bad thing is still a bad thing, but you have to realize it's because their brain has been damaged. They actually have brain damage. So I don't know if Jake Shields has suffered brain damage from all his fights. Keep in mind, guys, that's not an insult. That happens. I mean, Muhammad Ali, lots of fighters, it catches up with them over the years. You're getting punched in the head. So anyway, but he has said some sick, evil stuff. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt and attributing at least some level of his sick, evil nonsense to him getting punched in the head. But what do we know about Jake?
Yeah, I would say that I agree with you there. He has, of course, the excuse of being very mentally, unfit to even, talk about regular stuff. So how can you really blame him? He seems to suffer from severe brain damage or something. I don't know. But and here's the thing: like some people will come and say, "Oh, why are you insulting instead of talking?"
That's not an insult. That can happen to fighters.
But here's the thing: I'm happy to insult him because I actually offered to. I actually offered to have a debate with him, and we know this, right? He even accepted my debate challenge.
He accepted. He challenged me. I accepted, and then he backed out of it.
Yeah. But I challenged him to a debate. He accepted and said, "If you have a big platform, of course we can do it." Immediately, Timcast jumped in and said, "We can host it." And then he wiggled out of it, like, "Oh, I'm not getting paid and all that, and it's too far away to travel and so on." It's like, man. What am I supposed to do? I offered this guy to sit together and to discuss these topics to show how ridiculously horrible and uninformed this guy is, but there is just no hope.
Interesting. Yeah. So that's the downside if his issues are a result of brain injury over the years. Again, guys, just not making fun of anyone at all. You become a fighter and you're going to get hit in the head, and some guys take it all their take the hits all their lives and they're fine, and some it affects them later on, and some it seems to amp up their aggression and hostility and their belief in conspiracy theories and so on. And so yeah, I'm not sure, and I don't know. People who knew Jake from back in the day might be able to confirm and say, no, he is exactly like he was 20 years ago when I knew him, and he has not changed even slightly, in which case all the blame would be on Jake. But if they're like, no, man, he seems really weird compared to what he used to be, then might have something to do with the hits to the head. And someone pointed out when I mentioned fighters and so on, people were mentioning Chris Benoit. Yeah, Chris Benoit. Let's see right here. Yeah, Chris Benoit. I mean, he killed his wife and son, and then himself. But same thing. That guy had tons of concussions over the years, and it messes you up. And some people, it just turns very, very violent and so on. Not sure what this is about. D Wood say, "Not my gumdrop button. Not my gumdrop buttons. How dare you!" I don't even think that's a good impression, but for some reason, someone wanted me to do it. Let's see. All right. So what else do we have here? We've got Jess Natali. I have zero clue who that is. Who is that?
I only remember her. She kind of looks like an actress. It's funny, but I only remember her because there was a video of her going around. She's an activist at some pro-Hamas movement in America, and she said, I think Israel needs to be abolished by all means or something like that. I don't know, but not somebody who is terribly well known.
Yeah, no way she could win because I don't know who she is. Now, I have heard of the next one, Jackson Hinkle. Sounds like a real. He's like the pro Iran Russia guy, wasn't he?
Here is the thing: what you need to know about Jackson
on that side?
is that he does whatever he does just for money. His entire account was built around maxing of revenue, and he has other accounts that are completely established on that. He even has accounts that are called like rev maxing, which means revenue maxing, where he just talks about the stock market and crypto and things like that. It's all just about money, but he turned those accounts, some of them even still having the same handles, into pro-Palestine accounts and pro-Syria and pro-Russia accounts. It heavily suspiciously looks like he just got a chance due to big influence to be paid by Russia, so he accepted it and just started becoming an agent for them.
And I have to say, we know this happens because of what happened with what's her face? I don't remember her name.
Lauren Chen.
Yeah, Lauren Chen. That she got. I don't even know if she's tweeted since then. I remember she wasn't tweeting after a while, but yeah, Lauren Chen got exposed for taking what was it, like $10 million payment from Russia to promote their stuff.
Stupid about it as well. Like she was just openly communicating, mailing with her partner that she was in on it with about the Russians want us to do this and this and that, and of course the government, once they got a hold of the communications, busted her, and she hasn't tweeted anything ever since.
And then we have Candace Owens. We already know about her. We're going to be seeing plenty from her. Then we have Dan Bilzerian, whom I didn't hear about until I never heard of him until like a couple months ago when he started popping up. But go ahead.
Wait. Very important information on Jackson Hinkle, by the way. He had a somebody mentioned this in chat, but he had a Russian girlfriend who was like who was a model or something like that from Russia directly, who lived with him for a while and who separated from him. And after separating, I think went to Russia or so, but she said a few things when people asked her, and said that he is a very sick and abusive, narcissistic guy who, by the way, doesn't care in private at all about the things that he talks about online.
Interesting. Yeah, so as far as his hostility towards Jews this entire year, you'd think, oh, okay, yeah, it makes sense for this guy to be a finalist. But if it's kind of understood that he's just a grifter and just using an opportunity to make some bucks, then I don't think he can actually win. Dan Bilzerian, what about your buddy Dan? And what's up with his haircut?
Ultra degenerate if you want to judge degeneracy, which is very, very ironic because many of these people happen to be people who grift and try to appeal to certain parts of the population by saying, oh, degeneracy corrupting society, and then they will accuse Jews, for example, of corrupting society and spreading degeneracy and so on. This is the guy who he became famous because his father was rich and he went gambling and so on.
Must be nice.
Started having prostitutes and online models and so on, always in bikinis or naked on his property, filming with them, doing little videos and little gigs with them, shooting his guns and so on, and basically firing all his money away. There was even a point where a lender said that they are a danger of not being able to get anything back or something like that, and he had to declare bankruptcy. He got in trouble for kicking a woman in the face at a bar during a fight, which he then later said.
Well, what did she do? Maybe it's her fault.
He said he was breaking up a fight, but if I was breaking up a fight, I wouldn't kick a woman in the face.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because after I became a Christian in jail, like I broke up a ton of fights in prison. I jump in between them and I'll go, guys, you want to go home? Don't you want to go home? Do you want to go home? Do you want to go home? What's more important to you, hitting this guy or going home and stuff like that? But I never kicked anyone in the face while trying to break it up. never crossed my mind there. Oh, let me break this up. Whack! Aha! In your face. That's kind of
I
weird.
remember seeing this guy when I was like first on social media, I don't know, a decade ago or so, and thought I thought back then, well, it's really messed up how people love to support somebody like this, that they get nothing in return from, who contributes nothing to society, and who does nothing except live a completely, lavish, degenerate life that he himself only enjoys because he has a rich daddy, and people are just watching it and sharing it. And they're like, "Whoa, whoa, look at this!" It's so dumb. But anyway, the guy has nothing in his brains, and he has recently started adopting this whole anti-Israel, anti-Jewish narrative, including spreading propaganda such as that the Jews in Israel have no connection to the land, and the real Semites are the Palestinians. Completely stupid, ridiculous, ignorant talking points that you could debunk in a minute if you sat together with him. But unfortunately, he's not one to talk. He's just one to speak in an echo chamber.
And he actually comes up in Pierce's discussion with Candace Owens on anti-Semitism. But just let me be clear here, because again, I've only seen him a couple times that he's popped up. Like if you're talking about Cori Bush, and you say, okay, why is anyone paying attention to Cori Bush? Okay, she was a congresswoman and so on, so I get that. Greta Thunberg, we know how she rose to fame. Candace Owens, she's been a political commentator for many years. We understand why people are listening to her. As far as Dan Bilzerian, did he have any sort of redeeming feature for why we should listen to him, or was it just rich guy losing money and gambling, and somehow people end up paying attention to him?
There's literally no redeeming feature at all.
Okay.
Nothing at all. No contribution to society.
And then we have here at the end, we have Bassem Youssef, whom you can't stand. I actually think he's hilarious, even when I disagree with him. But what's your take on Bassem?
I honestly, whenever I see Bassem speak, I turn it off and don't want to pay attention because he annoys the crap out of me. I don't think he's funny. He's just very embarrassing, and he has these very terrible takes. And he's I don't know. I don't like the guy at all.
Look, you could be evil and still be hilarious, right?
Of course, but I don't think
it's like you're always telling me, you're like, okay, Hitler was wrong about a few things, but he's the greatest speaker of all time.
But that's different.
His speeches are the most eloquent. All right.
Have you seen the paintings?
The paintings are the greatest. All right, everyone. So these are the finalists. These are the finalists for 2024 Anti-Semite of the Year. I would scratch off like 5 of them as no way they're going to win. And then so it would come down to a few candidates. I have to say, if I were to think back on the year and I were to give out the award, I would probably say that Candace should win it for the reasons we mentioned at the beginning. Not saying she's the most hateful person, not saying she's the most evil person, not saying any of that stuff. Just it's based on the fact that she already had a following, and then she steered that following over towards that, and therefore created a lot of new anti-Semites, people who wouldn't have been anti-Semites a year ago but are now. All thanks to Candace. We have a poll going on. It is at 68%. 68%, ladies and gentlemen. I asked a simple question. Is Candace Owens an anti-Semite? And so far, 68% are saying yes. So let's see what happens. Because, guys, again, we are going to let Candace speak in her own defense, explain her thinking on these issues, and that might change. By the end, it might be 20% saying that she's an anti-Semite. Or as we listen to her, people might think, oh, this chick's messed up. So it might change, or it might remain the same. We will see. But we have a good baseline. It's been between 68 and 70%. We assume that all the groypers are messaging each other right now. Come over, we have to vote on this poll. Get the whole crew together. Tell Nick to send out a tweet to come over here and vote and say that Candace is not an anti-Semite.
Yeah, I hope this is not your audience voting 68% only.
Well, when you put Candace Owens an anti-Semite of the year, you get a lot. You get new viewers. You get the Candace fans, and you get the Groyper fans, and so on. So,
what are your thoughts on this? Very briefly before we go into it. At the end, we can change our views entirely. Of course. What is your view on this? Is she an anti-Semite?
I would say yes, but it is relevant to always ask, kind of what do you mean by this? Because this is going to come up. It's how it gets represented by Groypers and Candace and so on is that, anti-Semitism, charging someone with anti-Semitism is just a way to block any criticism of Israel or anything any Jews do and so on. And as far as just you can't say anything against Jews, I'm not saying that if you say something about what some Jew did, or if you say something, or if you complain about something that Israel did, that you're an anti-Semite. That you could look at something Israel did and say this is wrong. You could look at you could look at the war right now and say we need a ceasefire. That would not make me think that you're an anti-Semite. You could say look at this evil thing that Jeffrey Epstein did and so on. What sort of sick nonsense is this? It wouldn't cross my mind that you're an anti-Semite. It's sort of, for me, it's like a pattern of behavior. You start fixating on things. You start going to conspiracy theories where I'm looking at them going, there are perfectly reasonable explanations for everything you're saying right now that doesn't involve the Jewish conspiracy that you're appealing to, but you become obsessed with it. You start going through history and finding any event you could talk about and blaming Jews for it. That's a big part of it for me. And then the other part is when you're holding Jews to standards that you would never hold anyone else to. Like if it was anyone else on the planet, any other nation on the planet, if a bunch of terrorists who actually control the government of the country that's invading or whatever, a bunch of people, thousands of terrorists crossed your border, slaughtered tons of people, men, women, and children, rape, torture, all that stuff, and then took a bunch of hostages, fled back, I don't think any country on the planet would instantly start hearing, ceasefire, 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 ceasefire. Do not retaliate. Do not go after them. You have no right to go after them. You have no right to go get your people back. You have no right to punish the people. So you have people who hold Israel to this standard, and you say, why are they held to a standard that no one else on the planet would be held to? And even when you're examining what they've done, we pointed out many times, if you look at the civilian to combatant ratio, that is better than pretty much anyone else in history. They have a better track record in this war than pretty much anyone else in history would have gotten. And I don't think anyone else would have gotten this ratio of civilian to combatant deaths if they were put in the same situation. Namely, there's a bunch of guys, they're using human shields, they're hiding under schools, that's a nightmare situation. I don't think anyone else would have done as good a job as Israel. And yet, it's not just, oh, guys, you haven't been careful enough. I could actually understand that. Guys, look, you need to be more careful because look at that baby who just died. I don't care how many warnings you said. I don't think you're insane if you're saying, hey, be more careful or something like that. But it's not. That's not the charge. It's genocide. It's ethnic cleansing. It's like, wait, what are you looking at here? What are you looking at here? When you look at one of the best records we've ever seen in the history of urban warfare in terms of how careful they're being, and all you see is genocide, they're trying to wipe out everyone. To me, there's some other factor involved, and I don't know what the other factor could be. It seems like it just, unless it's just what we call anti-Semitism. Jews are in a different category in your mind. They can never do right, and so you're always going to condemn them. So that's my views on there.
Yeah, my view is, yes, she's an anti-Semite.
Notice, D. Wood, Christian, always provides evidence for everything he says. AP just says it and expects everyone to believe it. Agnostic. Draw your own conclusions. All right, what?
Let's watch.
Okay, no, didn't want to watch it yet. Just wanted to go through what they said. So this is Stop Anti-Semitism. It's that time of year again. Vote and help us crown the 2024 Anti-Semite of the Year. Some nominees might even be proud to make this infamous list. Last year, Rashida Tlaib swept the vote. Interesting. So she won the 2023. This year, 10 new Jew haters are competing for the dishonor. Help us pick the top 3 to be announced on December 15th with the ultimate Jew hater crowned on January 6, 2025. Wait a minute. Crowned on 2025? They already crowned her, didn't they?
What? Who?
She already won.
Sorry.
Why are they saying it will be the ultimate Jew hater crowned on January 6, 2025? How'd she already
I don't
win?
know.
Anyway, okay, we'll figure this out.
That's one thing
So,
very famous. I don't know. I have no idea.
all right, so guys, we'll go rapid fire through. This list. We've already pointed to all the pictures, but Hassan Piker, Turkish-American streamer, uses his Twitch platform to glorify terrorism and spread anti-Semitism. After the October 7th Hamas massacre, Piker defended the terrorists, denying documented atrocities like mass rape and murder. Despite violating Twitch's community guidelines, he profits while spreading hateful propaganda. Then we have Cori Bush has cemented her reputation as a staunch anti-Semite through a disgraceful voting record, ties to Jew haters, and support for pro-terrorist mobs on campuses. Hours after the October 7th massacre, she blamed Israel's apartheid policies instead of condemning Hamas's atrocities. Following her re-election defeat, Bush scapegoated the Jewish community, specifically AIPAC, for her loss.
So you see, the reason I lost is not because my insane, deranged policies are suddenly becoming unpopular in the United States because they don't work. No, it's the Jews.
John, what is it, Cusack or Cusack? I don't know. John, let's say Cusack, once a popular actor, has repeatedly spread anti-Semitic slander. His X feed is rife with blood libel, conspiracy theories, and vile tropes, comparing Jews to white supremacists, denying Hamas's October 7th atrocities, and falsely claiming Israel created Hamas. Despite past apologies, his ongoing rhetoric exposes his deep-seated hostility towards Jews. Greta Thunberg has turned her climate activism into a platform for Jew hatred. That's another kind of side issue. I mean, is that like Greta had all the climate people on her side, and then she goes full anti-Semite and so on. Since the 10/7 massacre, she joined keffiyeh-clad protesters voicing disdain for the Jewish state, from chanting Crush Zionism at protests to targeting Israeli Eurovision participants. Thunberg's activism now fuels anti-Jewish hostility. Jake Shields, what?
I wonder if we are going to get to a point where the conversation comes up about whether opposing Zionism or opposing Israel's existence is inherently anti-Semitic or not. But there is just one thing, which is whenever people have a problem with a country around the world, notice the only time that people have a problem with a certain country, and then they suggest immediately that this country should not exist or should be abolished, is when they're talking about Israel. It never happens when we talk about different countries. Never happens. We talk about the different countries and how horrible they are, how terrible they are, all the things that they have done, and so on. And we talk about how messed up they are, and they are not our partner, and this and that. When we talk about Israel, the conversation very, very quickly gets to oppose Zionism, abolish Israel, destroy Israel. If Israel was abolished, by the way, what would happen would be that those who want the Jews killed and oppressed would take over, and they would do what they wanted. They would kill and oppress the Jews. The other side is not oppressed inside Israel. But yes, the only country where people immediately resort to abolish it, destroy it, it shall not exist, is Israel. No other country ever is held to that same standard with that same attitude.
That is correct. And so all the people calling for, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. There's a question. What do you do with the Jews there? You can't say put them under the control of Hamas. We know what would happen. So you would say, oh, okay, we'll just deport all the Jews back to where they belong. Okay, why not deport all the people in Gaza or something like that? Why is this the only group of millions of people that you're saying get off the place where you're born and raised? Yeah. And again, it's the only people who anyone says this about, right? You don't say if there's there's a Syrian civil war that's been going on. You have calls for Assad to step aside and things like that, but it's just weird. You don't say, Syria has no right to exist. Syria should be wiped out and given to someone else. So anyway, it's just, yeah, it is interesting. But Jake Shields, former MMA and UFC fighter, uses his massive social media following to spread anti-Semitic rhetoric. He denies Hamas's violent sexual assaults during the October 7th massacre, promotes Jewish control conspiracies, spreads lies about Israel, and praises terrorist organizations, doubling down on his Jew hatred throughout 2024. A lot of people doubled down on it.
He tweeted, I think today, which was, I don't know if you saw that. It's a typical Nazi anti-Jew cartoon that he posted where an extremely stereotypical looking monster version of a religious Jew is eating the flesh and organs and blood of an American figure. So basically implying that the Jews are controlling and destroying America from within and so on. This is like typical Nazi propaganda that was going around, and he posted this. And notice also that he gets away with that kind of stuff. Somebody makes a joke about the Irish people, for example, the other day and gets suspended.
Interesting.
Things have really gone down a very, very weird path.
Jess Natale, we don't know her, a Brooklyn-based content creator behind So Informed, spreads Jew hatred disguised as news. Her platform regularly delegitimizes Israel, promotes Al Jazeera and Middle East Eye propaganda, and aligns with the pro-terror group Within Our Lifetime. Natale's feed is filled with blood libel, pro-terror imagery, and false claims about Israel, all while ignoring ongoing hostages in Gaza and rising anti-Semitism. Her so-called activism masks her hatred for the Jewish people. Then we have Jackson Hinkle, self-proclaimed pro-Russian American patriot Marxist-Leninist, idiot, has shamelessly profited from the tragedy of the October 7th massacre. Obsessed with Israel, Hinkle spreads dangerous misinformation about the Israel-Hamas war, promotes anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, and focuses almost exclusively on attacking Jews and Israel. He openly praises terrorist groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, even shedding tears over the deaths of their leaders. How could my hero have got his balls blown off? Candace Owens, conservative commentator and activist, has made her deep-seated hatred for Jews clear through her words and actions. This year, she disgustingly dismissed Holocaust horrors, including Dr. Mengele's grotesque experiments, as propaganda.
Yeah,
we did see that. We watched that back in the day. So it doesn't make any sense. Why would they be doing these experiments? And she's acting like this stuff is made up about what they were doing. I guess you could say the exact same thing about experiments the Japanese were doing in World War II. They were doing some sick, evil experiments as well. But maybe it's all propaganda, and because it doesn't make sense to Candace. Her Holocaust denial, spread of blood libel, and relentless anti-Semitic rhetoric have solidified her place on this year's list of those actively spreading hatred against the Jewish people. We have Dan the Dork Bilzerian, an infamous misogynist, has earned his spot among this year's most dangerous Jew haters. Since 2011, he's peddled anti-Semitic rhetoric, including blaming Jews for the 9/11 attacks. He's since denied the rapes and beheadings during the October 7th massacre, pushed grotesque blood libel, and praised terrorist leader Yahya Sinwar. Yahya Sinwar, whom AP recently had a debate with. He likes me, but not AP. Bilzerian's ongoing promotion of hatred and violence against Jews confirms his position as one of the year's most toxic figures.
He also praised Hezbollah as patriotic people who have all the right to defend themselves, which is a very, very interesting point. I'm going to make a note on that because I want to get back to that later on.
And Bassem Youssef, an Egyptian-American anti-Semitic agitator with a massive podcast following, uses his platform to spread harmful misinformation and conspiracy theories about Jews. His most egregious moments include falsely accusing Israel of killing its own citizens during the October 7th massacre, denying Hamas's atrocities, and claiming Jews exploit a victimhood card. His influence amplifies these toxic narratives, fueling the global rise in anti-Semitism. So killing its own citizens, I guess he's talking about like during the attacks.
Yeah, he says that Israel mass killed their own civilian population on October 7, and bases this on the same repeatedly debunked reports that he uses repeatedly again and again. Whenever he is refuted, whenever evidence is presented to him, he ignores it, and the next day shares the same propaganda again. He argues that the most people killed on October 7 were actually killed by Israel, which is a horrible, horrible lie.
So, so that's different from what Candace says. Candace says that basically the Israeli leaders knew about the attack in advance, and they wanted it to happen, and that's why they didn't deal with it, and they let a bunch of people be killed because they wanted it to happen because they want to go and steal the land of Gaza. So that's different. A person could adhere to either one of those. So you could believe that they knew the attack was coming, but weren't actually involved in killing people, or you can believe they didn't know about it, but they opened fire on their own people, or you can believe both of them and it's all part of the same plot. But these are some of the conspiracy theories that are going around.
These are based on misinformation, but I think we
You're based on misinformation.
When we get to it, we can talk about it. But there is one thing that in Israel people have been talking about since the attack happened, which is that there were warning signs and there were warnings to different government bodies and security forces and so on. But it seems that there was no action taken and it went ignored because the government, the different branches of the government, were too busy attacking each other instead of taking the threat seriously, which then resulted in this. If you actually talk about it, and I'm sure we can get to this because this is part of the topic, it doesn't make any sense that Netanyahu would know about the attack and stand down. He would be in no position to do that. Believing that Netanyahu has the power to know that an attack is coming and to stand down because he wants to personally solidify his position and take power and grab land and all that is even harder, is even worse than believing in the moon landing, which is, I know, I did this on purpose.
You're condemning people for believing in the moon landing, AP?
Sorry, I mean believing in the moon landing. I mean believing in the moon landing conspiracy theories. I mean denying the moon landing. So
believing this is even worse than believing people landed on the moon.
It's almost as bad as believing in a flat Earth, to be honest. It doesn't make any sense. Netanyahu doesn't have the power or the status to make such decisions. But yeah, let's go on.
Hey, I'm just going to go as far as conspiracy theories that involve the government. Guys, I want to point out that there's a reason I almost never believe them. Now, keep in mind, you can have conspiracies. These things do happen. You can have a government plot and so on. But there's a huge problem when you're saying the government is actually involved in this. Your leaders are actually involved in this. Namely, these things would be carried out by an administration, and their eventual opponents would find out about this, right? Wouldn't they have access to government records? In other words, I'm talking about other conspiracy theories, like the U.S. was behind the 9/11 attacks. It was the George W. Bush administration's plot to, guess what? Seize Arab land for the oil, right? So that's the plan. We're gonna attack our own people, bring down these buildings, all so we can go and take over Arab land and take over their oil. That was the theory. No, it's one version of the theory. There are multiple theories, but so the U.S. government did it. George W. did it. Okay, well, suppose George W. did this and they had this plot. Doesn't George know that another administration's coming in a couple of years and they're gonna what? They're going to have access. They're going to have access to all this information. If you're talking about a plan to bring down giant buildings and what that would require, there's a lot of people involved. What doesn't the next administration find out about this stuff and know all this stuff? Okay, if you wanted a slam dunk case against the previous administration for the next election, Wouldn't you want to bring that stuff up? Wouldn't you be like, hey, matter of fact, let me
No,
tell you what the last administration did. Yep, that 9/11, all that stuff, right? Don't be blaming the Muslims. Nope, that was our own leaders. Here's the documents, we're releasing them to the public. Case
no,
closed.
no, no.
That
It's
that you
because
you have just
all
you have just
people.
wiped out an entire political party overnight.
No, it's because all the government, they're just giving you
Everyone.
the illusion that they are different sides. They are actually all working together.
And it's
They are
all
all in on it,
Jews. And
and
they're
they are
all
all working for the Jews.
Jews.
But take this, get this. It's actually deeper than that. They only appear to be Jews, but they're actually lizard people who are changing their skin to appear like Jews.
And what's the situation with Bibi? AP, does Netanyahu have a bunch of political rivals?
Yes, bigly.
So
That's currently one of the biggest things to talk about in Israel right now. People talk about Israel all the time, and mostly they talk right now about the war and different military actions within Israel. It's kind of split right now. The discussion is between the war and Netanyahu's war with different branches inside the government that have been going back and forth, and the secret services are trying to get Netanyahu. He's trying to get them. Different contenders are trying to get him, and he's trying to get them, and so on. There's a big infighting going on that has been going on for quite a while. So to to suggest that the same secret services that are seeking dirt on Netanyahu and that want to take him down would collaborate with him on October 7th is ridiculously stupid.
Yeah. It's very ridiculous, guys. So you have people who are trying to bring down Netanyahu, accusing him of corruption, saying we need to put this guy on trial and so on. The response is,
Oh, but that's why the Netanyahu government carried out this attack and played a role in it.
and it's like, okay, wouldn't all these people trying to bring him down for corruption be able to use this very easily, very easily?
Yes.
And look at the you can spot the conspiracy guys here.
Both parties voted for the war.
Both parties voted for the war because both parties believed that they had been attacked and that they believed all kinds of other things. That's not what we're talking about, Wilmer. We're saying, do these parties love to bring each other down and spread propaganda and even against each other? Yeah. Okay. If a party. Okay. Wilmer, let me ask you. So you're saying that both parties actually so it's not like George Bush and some people in power, like Democrats and Republicans unanimously decided to bring down the Twin Towers. I bet he's going to say yes.
Yes, that's what they did. And what's your evidence? Well, it doesn't make sense because I saw this video and how it doesn't make sense the way the building fell. You see our government.
This is what we're talking about. There are people who will believe any idiotic, insane conspiracy theory. Okay, E. Wilmer. To get your theory to work, you would say 100% of the politicians at that time were behind this, right? They were all involved and they all agreed. Everyone agreed. You know what? It would be a great idea. We'll blow up our own buildings right in the middle of New York, and then so we can start a war to go get a bunch of oil, and then we're not even going to get what we wanted. That's the plan, and everyone agreed on this, right? And no one ever had second thoughts and said, you know what? I need to expose what just happened because we were wrong. Nope, they all agreed, and they all. But then you have like later administrations of people who didn't agree because they're new politicians, and so they would find out about this, right? Because everyone knows, everyone behind the scenes, and no one ever comes out and says, guys, we did something wrong. No one ever repents of that and brings it out. You're a freaking lunatic, you giant clown. This is what you sound like.
The thing is, people don't think about one simple fact, which is that the people who work for the government,
The big plane crashes into this building. And building falls down. I think, hey, probably big plane flying into building. No, the government is Democrats and Republicans being controlled by Jews.
people think that everyone who works for the government or everyone who goes into politics is some higher being who has a special contract with some people behind secret, in some secret chamber that control everything. it's not that complicated. They are regular people, people who go for the government positions, people who become part of parliaments, who become part of Congress, and so on, are regular people. Some of them happen to be also very incompetent and very dumb people who are elected because they achieve something. They get, I don't know, they manage to speak to other people who are also dumb. They manage to evoke some sympathy. They are known for something else, which is why people think, "Oh, I know this guy. I'm going to vote for this guy." It's not a bunch of genius-minded evil people going and working for the government branches. It's regular people who are sometimes very incompetent and very unreliable, pulled together and elected to make choices for you and me. And sometimes those choices happen to be very, very bad choices.
They sure do. All right, let's go ahead, and we have all sorts of other people. No, the United States, they did. It's funny. I bring it up. I bring it up to explain to people why I tend not to believe that, the government was behind this and it was a government plot, namely because in countries where you have multiple political parties that would use that as political ammunition very easily and could instantly destroy their political rivals over this, for me, that leaves the option of either you believe they're all behind it, in which case it's a massive conspiracy. And by the way, there's a problem with massive conspiracies. The more people involved in a conspiracy, generally, the more quickly it breaks down. If you have two loyal twin brothers who would never betray each other and they have a conspiracy, it's hard to break that conspiracy down because they're extremely loyal to each other. If you have 10 people in a conspiracy, it's more easy for it to break down because you can have the weakest link and people might have second thoughts. If you have thousands and thousands of people in on a conspiracy, this would be the problem with saying that the moon landings were a big hoax. Thousands and thousands of people were involved in the moon landings, right? If this is all some sort of big hoax, all the building of the rockets and all this stuff, the filming, all this stuff, you would expect, you'd be an instant multi-millionaire just to come out with the book and the proof.
Powerful.
So every one of these things, every one of these times you're saying a conspiracy, they're conspiracies that would be very quickly known and uncovered by people who are involved or by their successors and so on. If they have really good incentive to expose them, but never, ever do, then if I'm looking at the evidence and I go, why do they have all this stuff about these guys landing on the moon? I go, because they land on the moon? No, because of the conspiracy by NASA, because they want to do this, blah, 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 the government. Okay, these planes just crashed into those buildings and the buildings fell down. What caused? I don't know. The planes crashing into the building? No, it's a government conspiracy. No, it's Jews and you got laughing Jews. The Jews are laughing. This is the proof that the Jews are controlling the U.S. government. Okay, that sounds insane. October 7th, what happened? You got a bunch of guys climbing over fences. They're parasailing and stuff like that, and they're going around slaughtering people. What's it? No, because Netanyahu understands he's on corruption charges. He wants to steal the land. I kind of go with the easy, obvious reason until there's a really, really good response. And guys, the Jews are behind it is not a good response to me. So I'm gonna continue going with the obvious. This thing happened and it caused this. Pretty simple to understand. No, there's something even better. And it's this massive, insane conspiracy that makes absolutely no sense and never gets exposed except for by lunatics on Twitter. Interesting. All right, so we're backed up on Super Chats. Let's go through a couple Super Chats, and then we'll see the award, who won the award. We already know who won the award, but we'll check that out, and then we will listen to Candace and her acceptance speech and her talking to Piers Morgan and things like that. Joyous Advent from Tokyo. God bless. Don't let AP say Tokyo. He'll do it with an offensive accent.
Tokyo.
Muhammad's wives when they catch him with Diha in the boom boom room. So that's what you've been doing in your night journeys. Hey, can you imagine if what really happened as far as the night journey background is Muhammad snuck out with Diha and his wives where'd you go? What happened? What happened? Where'd you go? Oh, I was with the angel Gabriel took me on a magic donkey ride. It's funny. He could have been, oh, the original version was, oh, the angel Gabriel. He took me on a magical ride, and I ascended into the heavens with our wonderful journey. And like, but you never left your bed. So, oh, you're right, I never did. Weird stuff.
Well, we already know what happened is that he peed his bed. He had a dream and he peed the bed. And he said he went on a ride, and when he came back, his bed was still very, very warm.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yep. From the Xbox to the Wii, PlayStation will be free. That's true.
That's true.
Free PlayStations. Gottes Segen to both of you. I wanted to inform you that a terrorist attack took place in Germany, Magdeburg. 11 people dead, 60 to 80 people injured. Now, AP, there's still more. This is breaking news and so on. I don't remember if it was when we were live yesterday or on during This Week in Jihad, but I remarked that, there could be attacks because this is a popular time of year to do attacks, Christmas and New Year's. They like to go after Christmas markets and so on.
But before you go on with this topic, I want to say that there is information coming in about this attack that's
what I was going to say, that this may not be an Islamic terrorist attack.
Yeah. There is information coming in, and so first off, yes, there is a terrorist attack that happened, or an attack that happened, and people died. Lots of people were injured, and I wish those who were left injured and anyone else all the best. Always thought German Christmas markets were one of the best things about Germany that I remembered. However, the attack, not 11 people, but 2 people are dead so far. 68 are injured. Some of them are severely injured. But the thing is, while everyone, after so many Islamist terrorist attacks, thought that this is an Islamist terrorist attack initially, apparently the person who committed the attack was identified as a Saudi Arabian guy who came to Germany as a refugee and who worked there as a doctor and psychiatrist for many, many years, and who is actually anti-Islam and pro-West, and has accused the German government of helping the Islamization of Europe and so on. And the thing is that, as far as the way it looks right now, the person has been identified and is actually known on Twitter, has 40,000 followers. In fact, he has been following me, and I have been following him very recently, since August or something like that, for no other reason other than I saw that this person is anti-Saudi Arabia, so I thought, oh, interesting, we'll follow. So apparently it turns out that he had some beef with the German government, and he was recently going crazy and accusing, in some very paranoid looking posts, of the German government of working together with Saudi Arabia and trying to crack down on political and religious fugitives, and trying to kill him and trying to act against him, and infiltrating the ex-Saudi Arabian refugee movement from within and trying to destroy them and so on. And he made a post. I was looking at this earlier. Apparently he made a post several months ago saying, if they try to kill me, then we will slaughter them, or some crazy things like that in Arabic. So here's the thing. It turns out that this guy, either he did not do this in the name of Islam, but because of different things, and I really want to sit down tonight and tomorrow to read more upon this, and wait for more. Or, as some people have speculated, this guy had a very long-term plot and came in as a non-Muslim refugee to then carry out such an attack, which seems a little bit absurd to me, honestly, that he would, apparently because he came to Germany a long time ago. Apparently he lived in Germany since 2006 or something like that. So
so basically it does happen that people will say, oh, let's say, hey, I'm an atheist, I'm in Saudi Arabia, I'm in danger, so let me come there. And they're not. But you're saying that would be kind of weird. This guy comes in and then spends 20 years waiting to carry out his attack.
So I'm just learning things within the last 2 hours or 3 hours or so, and loosely following the updates. But I will talk more about. It's funny because the guy has been following me apparently, and has also shared certain things that I did. And earlier I saw Suleiman Ahmed post, "The terrorist was a fan of the Apostate Prophet," and post,
Suleiman said that.
yes, and shared a screenshot of him commenting on my on one of my joke posts where I divided Syria into different parts and said, "I have made my decision. This is how we're going to partition Syria."
Powerful.
And the guy who apparently committed the attack posted like, "Oh, lucky Israel" or something like that. And he took a screenshot of this. See, the terrorist is a fan of the Apostate Prophet. I don't know who this guy is, why he did this for. It seems like a insane thing to do. I really want to know more about this until I can really say something.
It does suck for Suleiman not winning, not even being mentioned for Antisemite of the Year, right? I mean, he's like, I worked so hard and everyone just thinks I'm a fat, dumb loser. Nick Fuentes? Fuentes, not even on the list, and you got some random chick that I've never heard of, and they don't even have Nick Fuentes. That's gotta suck, man. It's like, I thought I was so important to these guys, and no, they think you're just a loser in his basement. Pelican74 says, David, how much does Israel pay you for these views? Lots. It's right here. I get 13,000 shekels per week. 13,000 shekels per week. Cash money. That's how much. Now you know. So this was the yes, Gottes Segen to you too. God's blessings. Skyscraper Philosopher says, seen that Saudi German terrorist was ex-Muslim. Yes, we just talked about that. But you posted that before. Candace, an Antisemite. I did not see this coming. Get it? I did not see this coming. Shame that Dennis Prager propped up this immortal grifter and supported her in her early years. He must feel terrible about it now. Well, she's going to mention Prager as proof that she's not anti-Semite. I actually don't think she dislikes Jews. I think she's just dumb. Well, that's pretty rude. I love the work you do, but I have to disagree that democracy is a good system. Objectivism for the win. No gods or kings, only man. Yeah, it works well wherever it's tried. Oh, wait, never has been. Thanks. I'm thinking in terms of intensity. Jake Shields in terms of popularity. Jake's nephew in terms of actual public influence. Candace Owens. Okay, so in intensity, Jake Shields. In terms of popularity, Jake's nephew. In terms of actual public influence, Candace Owens. Who's Jake's nephew? Do we know who Jake's nephew is?
Jake's nephew is Hassan Piker.
Was that a joke or is that true?
It's true.
Really?
Yeah. They are related. He's his nephew.
What a dork. I guess the dork gene runs strong in that family, ladies and gentlemen. Greta equals Swedish Aisha. No, she's way older than Aisha now. Thank you, fam, for challenging anti-Semitism. We have not even begun to challenge anti-Semitism, Isa. You'll see. I agree with AP that the Nazis were the most evil people ever, but they were created through the societal degradation of Weimar Germany. What you'd say is when your society starts falling apart or degrading or something like this, that this allows people to jump in.
I never said the Nazis were the most evil people ever. So I'm not sure why you agree with me.
Yeah, don't be putting words in AP's mouth, Zappy97.
I would say that the Nazis were really, really messed up and really evil. And Hitler himself was really, really, really messed up and one of the worst people to ever make it to a government position and to lead a nation and so on. And his inner circle was full of incredibly mentally unwell and sick and evil, messed up people. But I wouldn't say that they were the most evil people ever.
Candace Owens walks into hell. She's relieved it's not run by the Jews. Love your work. Keep up with the good fight. Stay away from Islam.
True.
Very based. Ida says, you know it happens because it happens to you because you are paid by the Mossad and Shin Bet. Yes.
That's true.
We know it happens. Oh, I think that was, we know it happens that people get paid for stuff because Lauren Chen actually got exposed for taking millions of dollars and stuff. So yes, but how we know because we get the payments, we get the fat stacks of shekels.
We get the hikmah.
Chag Samyech, happy Hanukkah. Put on your yarmulke, it's time for Hanukkah. So much Hanukkah to celebrate Hanukkah. Just Natalie, who is this thalidomide baby? Get this big chinned mask looking out of the race. Not my Antisemite waterhead. What is this?
Terrible, terrible.
Candace Owens is one of the worst because she's a scorned, bitter woman. Ever since her ex-Jewish boyfriend, she's been on a rampage against the Jews. So-called you're calling all these Nazis out.
Look at this stupid stuff here. Like this, the people that come in here. Dan said, "Oh, really, AP? Hitler worst, but communists kill count 200 million. Not bad, guys." This is just an example of what kind of brain dead people come into this discussion because they are Hitler fans or Nazi fans. When did I ever, let alone today, when did I ever say that the communists were not bad guys? When did I ever say that the USSR was not bad? On the contrary.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When did he say Stalin's paintings were great?
You probably don't keep things like this in mind, but I have even on many occasions said that the communists were horrible, that the Soviet Union was disgusting and atrocious, and so on. Because I'm not the leftist, opposition to your Nazi mind. I'm actually consistent, Dan. Idiot.
Yeah, and I think you could make a serious debate on who was more evil, the Soviets or the Nazis. And they absolute scum. They killed many tens of millions of their own people. And the things they did with Ukraine, just going in there and destroying all their food, destroying all their crops, bringing in food sniffing dogs to find out where they had food, where they were hiding seeds or anything, getting rid of it all, and then just starving the entire population. That's pretty much as sick as you can get. And that's kind of like my thing is why Ukrainians have every right in the universe to say, we do not want to be controlled by you guys ever again.
It's kind of funny because the same people who are like, "Oh, you never say anything about the communists, about the USSR."
Screw the communists; they're all a bunch of freaking lunatics and morons. You happy?
They're the same people who support the one side that early on made a deal with the Soviets. The Nazis made a deal with the Soviets. They were allied. They were partners. They were partners in crime. They were trying to take over Europe together. Of course, the eventual plan was to backstab each other and to kill each other. But they made a deal against all the other free nations. They were both sick, and I can say, in my opinion, looking at it, the Nazis were worse than the Soviets, but the Soviets were also not very far off.
Merry Christmas, guys! Big hugs. It's not Christmas yet,
Powerful,
but it will be soon.
It is for me.
Would one of you, including Robert, get in contact with Candace to educate her on the history of this conflict and why she's wrong? I don't think we'll be trying to contact her, but if you want to, then you're welcome to contact her and say we'd like to see a discussion between her and Robert Spencer or AP, whatever she wants.
What you need to know about Candace Owens is that she is not somebody who is interested in facts and changing her mind and learning about the truth and all that. She's interested in grifting, going for a certain agenda, and so on. She's not somebody that you should respect as somebody who is just ignorant and could learn about the truth. She's a grifter, a liar, a fraudster, and she does much of this probably because of her husband or things like that. I know very well. I sent her. She blocked me just because I responded to her to something that she said on Twitter with a post about Andrew Tate attached to a clip where Andrew Tate admits multiple times to being basically a human trafficker. She blocked me just for that, which is just a sign that she is one of those people who, when faced with evidence, will just turn it off. and keep shouting the propaganda. She is not an honest person. She's not a respectable person. She does not care about the truth. She's a scam, a fraudster.
And that is one of the most racist things I've ever heard in my life.
Thank you.
Zappy97 says AP should have What If Falfist on to discuss Weimar Germany and the rise of Nazism. He's a good history YouTuber.
I know that Weimar Germany was bad. It wasn't the worst thing ever. It was bad because it was a very
the Nazis were the worst thing ever.
It was a very unstable republic, an unstable new republic that was really, really going the wrong direction and ignoring the population. But the thing is, what mostly contributed to the Nazi rise was also the economy. And the sanctions and the conditions imposed on Germany after the First World War by
You had
the Allied
to bring
nations.
like suitcases of bills to get a loaf of bread. That's how worthless the
Allies
currency was because of inflation.
After the World War, they tried to punish Germany by imposing the worst conditions on Germany and turning it into a protectorate and denying it the right to even have a functioning military and so on. It was basically Germans were left humiliated and poor and unable to live while watching the elite be rich and while watching Europe get more and more rich. So this helped very, very much to create a lot of hate within Germans, within the average German, against the Allied nations and against the rich. And it also was a very great opportunity to say, oh, there are some people among us who are not affected by all of this. They seem to be doing quite well. And who are those people? The Jews. Doesn't really have anything to do with the fact that they have been very much unaffected because they have been pushed out of society and have gone their own way this entire time. No, it's probably because they are oppressing us.
Powerful points. Billy Carson says, in the Sinai Quran, Muhammad wasn't gay. And this is how we know the Sinai Quran was a forgery.
Fake.
The whole interview... Oh, this is actually correct. Apostate of Allah says, the whole interview was, I subscribe to... This is Candace Owens. I subscribe to Haaretz, so I basically know everything about Israel and Palestine. Candace is a cartoon. Guys, that's actually what she says. That when she's challenged on, how can you believe this? How can you... Well, I subscribe to Haaretz, so I know. That's her defense. Ignore my typo. Yes, I sent a super chat for this. Yes. Sheikh Billy Carson taught me the Anukai did 9/11. I still don't know anything about Billy Carson except that he has some weird cult or something, and he got schooled recently. This award is dumb and pathetic. She and the clown that worship her makes fun of it. By naming her, they made her more of a hero. Again, the Jews showed how terrible they are with PR. No, I think it's fun. I think it's fun to have a contest for Antisemite of the Year. I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Saying I follow Haaretz, this is why I'm informed on things. Why would Haaretz say bad things about Israel? Is like saying I follow CNN and they say a lot of bad things about America. Why would CNN say bad things about America? I follow CNN, so I'm very well informed.
Mm-hmm.
Basically the same thing. It's suddenly fine to go for the leftist notorious news source when you go against the Jews, but it's absolutely not fine when you do it in America.
Yeah. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna see Candace's defense of her, which is, yes, I follow her. I've subscribed to them. I subscribed to their news channel, and so I get their stuff, and so I know why would they be speaking against their own? Why would they be speaking against their own leader and stuff like that? What AP just pointed out, this would be like, matter of fact, not even CNN, like MSNBC, and saying. And someone from somewhere else going, oh, well, look, MSNBC is attacking the administration. Why would they be doing that unless it were all true? Maybe because they believe you're the enemy and they're trying. I don't know. The point is, Candace herself would not accept that. If someone said, oh, but look, I know it's true because it's on MSNBC. Why would they criticize their own leaders or something like that? It's not a good argument. She would reject it. She would think that's a stupid argument. And yet, if it's about Israel, suddenly it becomes an airtight case.
She chooses to be brainwashed by the leftist Jews.
Absolutely. D Wood's Greta sounds like his Ali Dawa. Oh yeah, it does a little bit. No, I think Ali Dawa just sounds a bit like Greta, except she's got a bit more bass in her voice. Apparently, she's a huge fan of Andrew Tate too. Lol. Yeah, that's why I keep calling her Candace, because every time I call her Candace, someone will message me after, "Why are you calling her Candace? That's very rude to mispronounce." No, that's how her good friend Andrew Tate pronounces her name, and she loves it. So I'm just respecting her wishes.
Candace.
Candace. Sheikh Mike Wingjalinj. I heard a Mossad agent was caught stoking Islamophobia in a German holiday market. Why is it AP? Why is it? Oh, I heard a Mossad agent was caught stoking Islamophobia in a German holiday market. Why isn't AP talking about this? Good point. Mossad agent tries to... Guys, so the conspiracy here would be, if you wanted to make one, would be that this guy was a plant by the Jews. So he accepted in the very early 2000s to be a Mossad agent, and they told him, infiltrate, get into Germany, claim that you're an atheist, get into Germany, spend, 18 years or so there, and then carry out your attack. But hopefully don't forget to tell everyone that you're a Muslim to stir up hostility against Muslims. So we'll need to do something. We'll need to do something to steer blame towards Muslims over this. So start saying you're a Muslim. And then the guy apparently forgot, and people think he's an atheist and so on. But anyway, guys, that's along the same lines of some of the conspiracies theories we're going to look at. It's along the same lines of every time something happens, it's because Jews are plotting something and they're trying to trick everyone into believing this one thing to get their enemies attacked and so on. So that wouldn't be far away from the truth. It wouldn't surprise me if some people actually have a conspiracy theory like that on this issue. Torino, no comment, but thank you. Pair character bowing down saying thank you. That's a super sticker. Thank you, Daniel. Venus says, AP, BB, not only does he have all that power, he can see me through my phone camera and blow me up whenever he wants.
Really? That's good.
True.
That's good, man. Wow.
That's true. Ryan says, can't you tell me how to wipe my butt with Hikmah and Halal Touch? AP credit. So
that's a very good song.
It's powerful.
Just came
it's
out.
Good song. Yeah. In the Sinai Bible, the moon landing didn't happen.
It did.
No, that's the Sinai Quran. Is AP a self-hating Muslim? Yes, he is.
Yes.
He despises his Muslim. It's the Jews. That's true. It's always true. It's always hilarious how much Al-Qaeda brags about 9/11, yet Americans believe it was an inside job. We won't even allow them bragging rights. It does suck. Imagine the planning that has to go into carrying out a terrorist attack like that, and you're successful, and then the response is, "Ha, America did it to themselves." Wouldn't that suck if you're the terrorist? Like you go through all this work. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with the October 7th attacks. Like they put all this planning into it. They got Iran getting these weapons to them. They find ways to go under the fence. They fly over the fence. They go through the fence. We got videos of all this happening. And then it's, oh yes, Israel's behind it. It's like, what?
The
Can't we get the credit we so crave? What?
Hamas, to this day, has never, ever claimed that it was Israel killing their own people. Hamas, from the very beginning, acknowledged and took full responsibility for all deaths, for all killings.
And we're bragging and celebrating.
Proudly declared it. They did say one thing, which is that killing or targeting civilians was not part of the plan. It was something went wrong in the planning, and those people who then came after our first fighters of the Al-Qassam brigade, the Hamas fighters, started killing the civilians. So the funny thing is that Hamas themselves actually blame the killing of Israeli civilians on other Palestinians. They say it wasn't our Hamas fighters, it was other Palestinian militants who came with us, or Palestinian civilians who came with us, who started killing Israeli civilians. That's Hamas's claim. Of course, that is also BS, because we have directly on camera the Hamas members going from house to house and shooting people, executing them on site, and so on.
And that's the answer you get from someone who's being paid by the Jews. Candace rejected AP's love. That's why he's angry. You see? That's true. Yep. He was trying to be friends with her. She shot him down. Noticed that he was a stalker, and look what she does. Now AP's all broken up over it. David, explain 9/11 was Jews in Ali Dawa's voice. 9/11 was Jews. Okay, that's very simple, actually.
Yo, so think about this, yeah? So you got these big buildings, yeah? And then this plane be flying into it, yeah? But think about this. How the building gonna fall down from the plane? Could the plane be hitting up here, yeah? Not down here, but then the whole building fall down. But you want to know how we know? Because then we look over and we see these Jews. We see these Jews over there laughing. They's like, ah, ha, 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 look at this. And they's dancing, yeah? They's doing dancing. No dancing is haram, but they over there dancing. And look, they got the little Sigmund Freud over there. He's going dancing. So you tell me what makes more sense? The Jews did it, and they're proud of that.
All right. That's about what I could come up with.
It's good. It's pretty good.
Let's see. Do you think the rise of anti-Semitism and the rise of far-right parties in Europe could have problems for Jews in the future? Yes.
Yes.
We both agree yes, we think that's a yes. Why was Muhammad's navy so amazing? Because of the abundance of his seamen. We did land on the moon and the Germans helped. You tend to mix every conspiracy theory in a dishonest conversation. People know theory A doesn't mean theory B is wrong. You don't need to slander. The heck is this talking about? Germans helped what? What is this about? Do you know what this is about? Having trouble understanding this comment, AP.
I don't know.
Do you understand it? Yes. Germans helped what?
Germans helped something.
The moon landing? Okay. We don't know what you're responding to. What would Jesus do?
Hitler was there when the moon landing happened.
What would Jesus do to help the fight if he lived now? You know what's interesting about that question is you'll get a very different answer from different groups who want to claim Jesus is always on their side and everything, right? Like if you ask the gropers,
he will help us destroy the Jews.
And if you ask the Muslims, he would break all the cloth and kill all the pigs. That's what he would do, and then subjugate everyone.
He would wear a suicide vest.
Keith says it's actually Dave Rubin that found Candace. Ooh, David Rubin. Look what you've done.
It was actually, I think, Charlie Kirk and some other guys discovered her and were impressed with the way she speaks and said, "Oh,
she's a good speaker. I don't care what you say, AP. She is a good speaker. That's really her claim to fame."
She is. She is a good speaker, but she's also a big liar and also an ignoramus.
So you say, but you're the one. Yeah. We're going to trust a jilted lover commenting on his ex who dissed him. Come on. Any books? Any books or other resources that directly address some of these ridiculous arguments raised by the groper crowd? Would love to see a vid by you boys.
I'm preparing a video on. I'm preparing a thread on
thread. Okay, maybe
on the Holocaust right now, which I also want to turn into a video. I'm preparing a list of things that Candace Owens said to directly debunk them, which I would ideally turn into a video. And I have also forever had a list of things that people have been saying since October 7 to also turn them into a video. But I'm not sure when the latter one will happen.
Yeah, I think I am gonna make a video, hopefully before the end of this year. But it's about something that's been coming up. Just seen a lot of people, including people I otherwise like Calvin Robinson and so on, who are just out of nowhere started flipping out about just the term Judeo-Christian values. It's like, what is this? What is this? Judeo? Take the Judeo out of it. And that's very confusing to me because, well, it's pretty simple. If you take something like, hey, human beings are created in the image of God, that's that's a Christian value, that's a Christian idea, but that's a Jewish idea too. It was in the Torah before there were any Christians. Or love your neighbor as yourself. Okay, that's a command in the New Testament. It's also a command in the Old Testament. So it's weird to just say, hey, you have to only say that this is a Christian value. So anyway, I'm going to respond to a bit of that.
Powerful.
Let's see. Brother Rashid mentioned he tried to interview Talib. You mean Talib or Rashida Tlaib in the past?
No, Talib is the guy who is the terrorist, apparently, or the attacker today.
Oh, okay. Seems to have Shia background, so makes sense he's anti-Saudi regardless of apostasy. Oh, so no, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know anything about this because all I know is from what I just heard from AP and what you just said here. So apparently there's another theory that he's a Shia. We do not know. More will come out, ladies and gentlemen. Many in the Reformed and post-millennial eschatology camp say the church has replaced Israel. Their anti-Semitism flows from this. Luther despised Jews. I have to say, even if you believe that the church replaced Israel, that does not mean you need to hate Jews, right? Like there's... You can believe that the church has replaced Israel or something like that. You could believe that and still not hate Jews. You'd still be commanded to love everyone. You'd still be commanded to believe that people are created in the image of God.
This is not something new, right? It's a very old idea that it's a very old.
They're biblical. There are biblical passages you can point to and come up with this idea.
And also a very prominent idea among early church fathers that the church is Israel and all that. But that doesn't really mean what the gropers want people to think it means. And it's also to say the church is Israel, therefore the Jews have no value anymore. They're disgusting and so on. It's just in complete contradiction with the writings of Paul himself.
Yeah, and I'm the reason I brought up that there's a distinction between saying that the church is like the new Israel or something like this. But the distinction between that and hating Jews is I have lots of Reformed friends who believe that the church has replaced Israel and they don't hate Jews. So that's the idea. Jacob says...
What did St. Paul say about he would give up his own salvation if he could, just to bring all the people of Israel, the Jews, whom he loves so much, into the fold to salvation.
Indeed. Some people I know keep parroting Fuentes' talking points, and I'm not sure if there is a counter-polemic to the Holocaust denial conspiracy. There's like a trillion of them. There's like a trillion responses.
I'm preparing something on it.
Yeah, so it would be good if AP had like a simple, easy video and stuff. But yeah, Jacob, just look it up. We know what happened. We have tons of records. Lots of Germans were put on trial. There were trials. We have records of the trials. We know what happened at the camps. There were tons and tons of witnesses involved who had been on both sides of the war. We know this. It's just you get far enough away, and then you have people who are ignorant of history, and allows a bunch of morons to come in and spread a bunch of nonsense. But Jacob, it's very easy to research. So anytime they bring up some point, just go look it up. Go look it up somewhere.
Listen, just very simple. Look up the trial of Adolf Eichmann. Adolf Eichmann was executed in Israel in 1962. Israel got wind of Adolf Eichmann, who was one of the pioneers of the Holocaust. He was He was given the task of arranging the logistics of deporting Jews in masses to places where they would be killed or slaved and worked to death. He arranged the logistics of it. He personally claimed to be responsible for over 2 million Jewish deaths, and he was proud of it. He was happy about it. Israel captured this guy in 1960, put him on trial, public trial. All of it is available. You can watch the entire thing on YouTube, actually. You can watch the entirety of it on YouTube. It's just a bit exhausting because it's very long and it's Hebrew, German, English, and so on. They put him on trial. During the entirety of the trial, he did not for a single time deny anything about the Holocaust. On the contrary, he confirmed everything that was brought forth. He agreed and admitted to everything he said had happened. He even overestimated the number of Jews that he himself is personally responsible for. So other people who are counting the Holocaust numbers actually had to correct him by giving a lower number than he did. He overestimated the number of Jews he killed. But he also argued when he was before trial, when he was in Israel, that he was just acting on orders, that he was just doing his job, he was just following the Führer, he is in charge of everything, he personally is not responsible. He started twisting his story and saying that he actually has no problem with Jews, and he asks all the Jews in the world for forgiveness, and he loves them, and he's being treated so well, and he has hopes that justice will be served. And because he was treated so well in Israel until the judgment, until the judgment, he believed that they are going to forgive him and let him go. When it was then announced that he's sentenced to death, he gets visibly sad and disturbed and says, I really hoped that that you would understand where I'm coming from, and you would forgive me for the things I have done, and you would give me justice because I personally am not responsible. Of course, guy crying, pretending to be innocent, pretending to have killed millions of people just because he was following orders. Nobody believed it. They executed him, gladly so. But he was cited by so many other high-ranking Nazis and others as one of the main guys behind the Holocaust. He did not deny it, and we have a bunch of weirdos in their basements been denying it nowadays. It's just so stupid.
Yeah. So Jacob is saying, I'm not sure if there's a counter polemic. There's this. Yeah, it's called history. But yeah. If you're interested in this topic, you just have to get in the habit of looking stuff up, and it's not hard to do. Let's see. Well, we have a bunch more. We still have more super chats. We'll take two more, and then we gotta jump in. We'll get back to them later. We gotta continue. A bit off topic. Have you seen interesting stuff from around the world's video on you, David? Thoughts? If so, I have no idea who that is. I'm in a video called Interesting Stuff from around the world. David Wood. The psychopathic Christian at war with Islam. That's funny. 109,000 views. That's cool. No, not familiar with that. I'll check it out though. Sounds cool. And one more here. Let's see. Not a huge fan of Candace. Not a huge fan of Netanyahu either. Lots of dead, innocent people on the tipping scales is getting harder to justify, to be honest. Not sure what you're talking about. I have to say, one that has nothing to do with it. You could say, hey, too many people are dying and there should be a ceasefire. That wouldn't mean that you're an anti-Semite. It wouldn't. I understand when people are saying, hey, ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. The problem is, why is a war being fought right now? What is your goal in a war? Pop, what is a war? What is your goal in a war? If something has happened like happened on October 7th, what's your goal? Your goal is to make the other side surrender, to get your hostages back, and to punish those who carried out the attack. The hostages have not been returned, and Hamas has not surrendered. That's why the war is continuing right now. And that's why the IDF continues to hunt for the hostages and to hunt for the terrorists who, because they're cowards, hide behind women and children. They use human shields. So what are you saying? Israel should just give up? Like serious question. You're saying, I can't justify this anymore. Okay, what's the alternative? Give up? Say no. Okay. Well, these guys hid successfully, so we now give up going after our hostages, and we give up going after Hamas, and we're just going to let them rise to power again and carry out more attack. Sends kind of a dangerous message, right? So what you're saying, Pop, is Israel should send a different message than the one they're sending. The message that Israel should send is this. They should have a ceasefire, let these guys keep their hostages unless they want to trade them for something down the road, and let Hamas, the remaining Hamas jihadis who were involved in the attack, get away with it. And that they should basically say, hey guys, if you want to carry out another attack like this, no problem. Come, kill our people, rape our people, torture people, kill babies, anything you want. And then just run and hide behind civilians, and we'll give up. We'll give up. We'll let you go because we don't want to hurt any civilians. So, Pop, that sends a very, very dangerous message. You just given a roadmap to all future terrorists. Just go kill a bunch of people. Go. So if you want to plow into a Christmas market, and then just hide among civilians, and everyone will say, oh, hey, let's let them go because we don't want to go after them because there might be people caught in the crossfire. Very dangerous, very dangerous. But no one else would be expected to do that, right? No one else will be expected to do that. When the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, weren't a lot of calls for ceasefire. You can't go after them. You can't go back. You can't go back them. You can't fight them until they surrender. You can't do any of that because there's going to be a lot of people dead. Israel's different though. Interesting. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we got more super chats, but let's get back to our topic here. The winner. So we went through all the candidates. There were 10 candidates. There were 5 or 6 that, not good enough. Definitely not winners. But there were, 4 or 5 that were serious contenders. But Candace won. And so we'll go ahead and check out this. Mazel tov, Candace Owens. The political commentator unmasked her dormant anti-Semitic beliefs in
if
2024.
Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany.
They experimented on twins. I mean, some of the stories, by the way, sound completely absurd. I mean, like the idea that they just cut a human up and then sewed them back together. That just sounds like bizarre propaganda.
As far as the propaganda, ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about that. I'm not sure whether it's going to come up again. But the idea here is we know that the Germans were doing some very, very sick, disgusting experiments. And the idea was they understood, hey, we're in the middle of a war and no one can stop us from doing sick experiments right now. So now we get to do anything that pops into our heads and we can experiment all we want on these Jewish kids and these Jews and so on. And they were doing sick experiments. And Candace looks at this and says, it doesn't make any sense to do these experiments. These experiments don't make any sense. And so, I think this is all just propaganda. Wild stuff. I'm guessing she would say the same thing about the Japanese who are doing the same thing.
It's so dumb. It's like she's saying, well, I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. So therefore, why would I believe it? I mean, it's stupid. That's not how it works. That's not how this works.
Yeah, we've seen the pictures, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen the freaking pictures of the castrated children and stuff like this in parts of these experiments. These guys kept records of their sick experiments. No. The Jews then went and castrated a bunch of their kids just to make them and put them in these pictures to spread their propaganda. Probably something Candace would find compelling.
Yeah.
What are you saying, AP?
Nothing.
I'm sure. And here's her with Kanye. Dismiss the notion.
If you are an honest person, you did not think this tweet was anti-Semitic. You did not think that he wrote this tweet because he hates or wants to genocide.
This tweet. So his tweet was, I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. The funny thing is, I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew also. You guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball. And so I can't be anti-Semitic because he's subscribed to a component of the Black Hebrew Israelite theory, which is that black people are actually lost tribes of Jews. So he says he's going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, and you can't call him anti-Semitic because he's Jewish. And Candace says no one could possibly take this as anti-Semitic.
There is a legitimate aspect that is kind of accepted even among Jews, among Orthodox Jews, that certain people in Africa black people are descendants of earlier Jewish tribes and have a very distant Jewish ancestry, and are therefore not considered to have ever been non-Jewish in lineage, but that if they return to Judaism, they're considered people who have returned to the tribe and things like that. But to then expand this to all black people are Jews is like, that doesn't even make sense. It's that because all black people are not related.
No,
They're
and
not all the same people.
and their reasoning is pretty insane. I'm talking about specifically the Black Hebrew Israelites. But the Black Hebrew Israelites, their claim is because in Deuteronomy, it said that the punishment for Israel rebelling against God would be that they would be deported on ships. And then they say, but when were the Jews deported on ships? They weren't. But who was? Africans who were taken to the United States, what became the United States, in slave ships. So who are the real Jews? The Africans who were brought to America. So they're not even talking about other black people in Africa. They're talking specifically about the ones who were brought to the Americas, Those are lost tribes of Jews based on a very, very strange. Anyway, Kanye appears to have accepted a bit of this, and now he can declare that he's going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, and he gets a free pass because he believes that he's Jewish. Now, it's pretty funny. I could come up with some. That would be like me. Like I just start blasting Jews all day. Jews. Oh, but I'm 2.7% Jewish, so I can't be anti-Semitic.
Plus, DEFCON is not a thing. It's called DEFCON.
Yeah, it's DEFCON. And I think isn't it worse as you go to 1? Isn't 1 the worst? I think it's reverse, right? It's like 1 to 5 or something like this. I don't remember. It was from that movie War Games. Anyway, let's see.
By Jewish people. It's like you cannot even say the word Jewish without people getting upset.
Yes, you can. I can say I love Jews. That's not very similar to I will go DEFCON on all Jews or on Jewish people.
That's, by the way, that's something that Candace and a lot of the people like her do, right? They'll say something horrible, go through some insane conspiracy theory, massive bloodline. What are you doing? You're drinking Christian blood of children, blah, blah, blah. And you say something like that and you go, hey, that's some anti-Semitic weird stuff. What? Oh, look, I can't even question anything about Jews ever. Like, we're not talking about you questioning it. Going back to AP, going back to what you were saying earlier about, what do you mean by anti-Semitic or something like that? But think about this. So people like Candace, if you bring up and you say, hey, we think you're anti-Semitic because of this, and that, they go, so I can't even object to what a nation is doing. I can't object to what a nation. Keep in mind, she's saying this to Pierce Morgan. Pierce Morgan condemns what Israel's doing every time I see him.
Yeah.
I don't think he's anti-Semitic. I don't think, even though he's disagreeing with Israel and constantly objecting to what is going on in the war and saying they've taken it too far, they've killed too many people, it's awful. It doesn't cross my mind, hey, you're an anti-Semite. Why? He's not clinging to every insane conspiracy theory that comes along and saying that Jews are behind everything. He's not doing that. So what I'm saying is, guys, there's a smokescreen. I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. And they go, whoa, hey, God, be careful. It's sounding anti-Semitic. Oh, look, you can't even say the word Jewish.
I mean, the same guy who literally went and said, especially Hitler deserves respect, who said that the Nazis were cool, who said that a lot about the Holocaust is it needs to be, is wrong. A lot of propaganda.
It's just
about
propaganda.
The Nazis
it's just propaganda.
Hitler did a lot of good things, especially Hitler, and so on.
He was
of course, the guy here, of course, not at all anti-Semitic, not at all, man, not at all. What gives you the idea?
And look, you can't even bring up the word Jewish or kill millions of Jews without being called anti-Semitic. What's wrong with the world? You can't even run insane medical experiments on little Jewish kids and so on without being called anti-Semitic.
What's
so
wrong
weird.
with people?
What's wrong with the world?
Every person who speaks about Israel has to basically say a statement that's like, I don't want to get killed. We don't have that about any other country in the world.
Wait, what? AP, are you familiar with this? You can't bring up Israel without saying you don't want to get killed. What planet is? That's all I see when I go on Twitter. Jews, Israel, Israel. All these people are getting killed, AP. They're all killed and they all know they're going to die. They all know they're going to die.
Isn't it just hilarious? For years now, these people have been going around saying, "Oh, the only group you can't talk about are the Jews,"
and they talk about them 24/7.
The last 2 years, all we see is people blasting and spreading all kinds of lies, saying whatever the hell they want about Jews without any repercussions, without any consequences at all.
In fact, it seems to be a really quick, easy way to become very, very popular.
Yes.
Just start blasting away at Jews, and all of a sudden you'll have 1 million followers cheering you on as a hero. And somehow,
if I suddenly turned and said, after supporting Jews and Israel,
after closer examination, we discovered
I have come to a big realization, and I started making a thread about this and talking about how Israel is the bad guy and Jews are bad, I would become probably much more popular.
You would be.
I would make money.
You would be the hero of Muslims everywhere, the hero of gropers. You would get paid, dude. You'd be like, hey, $13,000 a week that Nick gets? Ha! Chump change. Chump change. So, guys, this is what we're talking about. You can sit around, we got to get rid of Israel. We got to get rid of Jews. Can't stand Jews. And someone say, hey, you're sounding like you really hate Jews. What? You see, I'm not even allowed to talk about Jews. You see, this is because the Jews are behind everything and they control everything and they control the entire world and we're not allowed to bring it because they'll kill us. They'll literally kill us. We all know it. What's she saying here? She's saying if you talk about Israel, you're going to die. She just said, if you talk about Israel, which millions of people do all day, every day, you're gonna die. You're gonna die, everyone. Why is there this one thing? Why is there this one thing that no one's allowed to talk about ever, and yet people do all day, every day? It's so weird to me. I don't get it. You're not allowed to talk about it, but you do all day, every day. It's so strange. Let's see what she says.
Because every person that's why. You know, there are two things I want to say very quickly about this, which is one thing is it has. It can be seen now that talking ill about Jews and Israel is a very popular thing to do right now, and nobody gets in trouble with it. It's actually people get platformed for it and so on, make money off of it. The same thing is not true for talking against Islam and Muslims, for example, which people were forever saying there's an Islamophobia industry and so on. Where is it? Where is it?
I haven't seen dime one.
We don't quite have the same luxuries that somebody has who says a bad word about Jews. But here is the thing, and this is very serious, and this is also a word to Jews, leftist Jews, a part of leftist Jews in the West who have contributed to the current environment and who have contributed to this, which they are suffering from now. Since some people have been saying this forever. You had groups like the ADL and others that were monitoring anti-Semitism. They were stupidly overreaching, and for some very strange reason that I never ever understood, also trying to condemn Islamophobia. Now it's biting them, and it's hurting them, and now they're complaining, and now they're talking about the environment it has created, where everyone can talk trash about Jews, and nothing happens. It's because certain leftist Jewish influencers have also bought for the longest time into this idiotic idea that there is something wrong with Islam, with being against Islam, and that it should also be condemned like anti-Semitism, which to me never ever made sense. I grew up in a Muslim family hating Jews and believing that Jews are evil monsters and the worst of all. And then I go outside and I see leftist Jews go, Islamophobia is bad. You freaking morons, you imbeciles. And the conservative, actually religious, Orthodox Jews have not engaged in this, and they have forever called on the liberal leftist Jews to get their stuff together and stop being so stupid with their social activism and all that. But I must say the current environment from which Jews suffer the most is also partly a result of what some leftist Jewish movements and individuals have done to the public speech over the last years.
We have Magic Weather saying, Christian Zionist scumbag yapping and can't debate anyone about the topic. He's just furious because the Antisemite card isn't working anymore. We all know the real history, idiots. Who are you even responding?
No idea.
He's got to be responding to me, right? AP, are we scared to debate this? AP, are we willing to debate Candace?
Wait, is there a Christian Zionist here, or who is he talking to?
I don't know who he's talking to. I don't know if he's talking to someone in the.
I don't know if there's a Christian Zionist. But yes, we would be happy to debate this with everyone.
Yeah, set it up.
I actually have an upcoming debate which is being arranged with one of those campus encampment leaders. That's going to be happening on some channel. The guy we watched the video, the guy who was debating Mossab Hassan Youssef and the former Hamas hostage Israeli woman who was debating her and looking kind of ridiculous. I'm going to debate him soon.
So you see, you're scared, and that's why you're debating him. Yeah, what planet do you live on, dude?
Powerful. That's what they do.
Looking for some more dumb comments here. There are plenty. There was someone. Where did it go? There was one thing. You're lying. You're saying there are no repercussions. You can get canceled for some. Yeah, you'll get canceled for saying death to Jews, death to Israel, because platforms have. Some platforms do have rules about that stuff.
Imagine what would happen if somebody said, "I will go DEFCON on Muslim people."
Yeah, and so I will go DEFCON. Or if you said anyway, I will go DEFCON on black people, or DEFCON on white people, or DEFCON on this, or DEFCON on that. It's okay if you're saying it about Jews, according to our friends here.
The Jews.
All right. So let's see what she's saying here. She's saying anyone who questions anything about anything has to be worried because Jews will kill you. Let's see.
Every person who speaks about Israel has to basically say a statement that's like, I don't want to get killed. We don't have that about any other country in the world, except for the one that, took over ours. And that's the truth, okay? We are an occupied nation.
The United States of America is an occupied nation. We are occupied by Jews. Jews have occupied and controlled us. No insane conspiracy theories here. And the result is that you can't mention Jews or Israel or anything critically, or you have to be in constant fear for your life because Mossad will be coming to kill you, or the government will be coming to kill you. No, there's nothing deranged here, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing deranged about this.
This is a very typical conspiracy theory that also was one of the main things that the Nazis pushed to vilify the Jews, that their government has been overtaken and is controlled and occupied by Jews, and that basically all world governments are being occupied by Jews. The Jews are in charge of. It's just such a wild idea. It's kind of flattering. It's I bet it must feel kind of cool to be a Jew, and
I've seen people saying that in the chat, saying it makes us feel really special. I mean, think about it.
Imagine they accuse you as people who are like a tiny minority among the world nations of being in charge of basically the whole world.
That's kind of a compliment, right? It's like you're saying, hey, these guys are awesome masterminds, right? It's like, okay, like the greatest masterminds ever. Interesting,
man.
Just like within all communities, there are gangs, right? Gangs can form, we understand this. What if that is what is happening right now in Hollywood, if there is just a very small ring of specific people who are using
the
fact that they are Jewish to shield themselves from any criticism?
Yeah, and guys, so it always comes back to this. You can say, I'm going to slaughter all Jews, get rid of all Jews. You say, hey, what are you doing talking about this stuff? Oh, look, we can't even mention Jews. Is there a secret group of Jews who control everything that seek to silence us? You're not being criticized for pointing out something legitimate. You're being criticized for having insane conspiracy theory. That's why people are going after you. If you like, in other words, so she's saying, is there the secret gang that protects? Okay. Jeffrey Weinstein. Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein. These guys got brought down
Where's this powerful? And here's the thing. These guys were rich enough and could hire enough lawyers and stuff to shield themselves for a long time, and they could use their power and influence because, Epstein was a billionaire. Weinstein had a huge production company, controlled all kinds of stuff. The idea that, it's just because there's a gang of Jews, What do you need the gang of Jews theory for when you can explain it the same way you would explain how Cosby got away with it for a long time? He had money and power and influence. You don't need, maybe there's this secret group of black comedians who are all running things behind the scenes and keeping people from questioning them. Rich, powerful people can get away with a lot of stuff for a long time. You don't need the extra conspiracy. It's borderline Occam's razor. Hey, this guy's very rich and very powerful. How does he keep getting away with stuff? I don't know. Because he's rich and powerful?
No, it's because there's a secret gang of Jews that are controlling this behind the scenes.
The funny thing is, it was also, by the way, when it comes to Harvey Weinstein, it was actually Jews who initially exposed him, and
because he went against the group, so they excommunicated him from their Jewish gang, and now he was punished because he didn't have the protection of his Jewish gang.
Here's the end here. Owens was eventually removed from her role. The Daily Wire. Up 2024 Anti-Semite of the Year. Mazel Tov. Candace. See, they conclude with a nice, awesome greeting there. All right, so that was Candace Owens being awarded the 2024 Anti-Semite of the Year award. Let's check out a little bit before we jump into the video of her. Let's check out the Wikipedia article, which it gives links to everything, but she's going to be talking about some of this. Just want the kind of summary of things. But look at this. Is an American political commentator and pundit. She is mostly described as conservative or far right. This is interesting because of over the past couple of days, right there in the opening line has had anti-Semite. And it says it at the bottom of the second paragraph. It's gone back and forth. People are still editing it. But in the second paragraph at the end, it says she was dismissed in March 2024 following a series of comments widely regarded as anti-Semitic and months of tensions with co-host Ben Shapiro and other Daily Wire staff. Comments widely regarded as anti-Semitic. Interesting. So let's check out. Let's see if I know there's a section because I saw it. So conservative activism, blah, 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 Brexit, political views. Let's see, got to be a section here. Women's rights, LGBT rights, Donald Trump, immigration, science, climate change. Well, wow, she is on the controversial end of a lot of issues, AP.
Powerful. And she chooses to go there all the time.
Well,
she thinks it's cool.
It's a good, no, well, I mean, it's a good principle because, things that get people emotional and riled up generally are good for attention. Let's see. Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany. At the launch of Turning Point's British offshoot, Turning Point UK, in December 2018, Owens made comments about Adolf Hitler. She was responding to an audience member who asked for a long-term prognosis about the terms globalism and nationalism. Owens said, "I actually don't have a problem at all with the word nationalism. I think that the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism." I would actually agree. There are multiple senses of nationalism in a basic sense that you should focus on what's good for your nation. It's not a bad thing. And that would be, the people who would have a problem with that would be the globalists. But globalism is what I don't want. Whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. Hitler was a national socialist. But if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German, everybody to look a different way. That's not, to me, that's not nationalism. So Hitler wasn't a real nationalist. What are you laughing at?
So here's the thing. Look, some people could say in defense of her, well, she wasn't saying that he's a good guy. She was just saying that the nationalism aspect. Okay, here's the thing. We're talking about Hitler, right? We're talking about Hitler who is very well known for certain specific reasons. She talks about nationalism, talks about how it is associated with Hitler, and then says that if it was just about making Germany great and making Germany work well, it would be good. But he also had ambitions aside from or outside of Germany and wanted to make everyone. What else happened, Candace? What else? What else?
Nothing. Nothing else happened. Nothing else. AP.
What else? What
Nothing.
else did he do inside Germany?
He painted paintings. He loved his dog. Oh, does AP have a problem with dog lovers now? Now,
what else did he do inside Germany to other people, and not just Jews? Okay, we get it. You are a sick psychopath, and you don't care about eradicating Jews.
According
and all
to you,
that. It's not just Jews. He also did lots of horrible things to other populations inside Germany and in Europe.
So you say. Let's see what we've got here. Jews and Judaism. Following her departure from the Daily Wire after she was accused of anti-Semitism, Owens downplayed the prevalence of anti-Semitism, stating that people who are now screaming anti-Semitism is everywhere are actually just racial supremacists. So the people who are concerned think, why might you be concerned about anti-Semitism? Why might you want to bring it up? Well, I don't know. Go on Twitter and see what these guys are saying. People calling for Israel to be wiped out, and this going along well with the goals of jihadis who want to wipe Israel off the map. And then you have more prominent people like Candace herself blasting away at Jews. You have a spike in anti-Jewish hate crimes in America and in other places, even after Jews were already at the top of the list as far as people who are targeted for hate crimes. So you're looking at all this and say, wow, I need to call this out. And it's like, no, you're just racial supremacist. Wait, I'm a racial supremacist. If you have a problem with anti-Semitism, you're a racial supremacist. Interesting. According to Media Matters, Owens criticized Jordan Peterson.
You know what's so funny? So what she's implying here is that
funny.
Is that Jews who are complaining about anti-Semitism are Jewish racial supremacists. This is what she's saying.
Yeah.
Number one.
I know.
First off, I don't even know where to start, but Jews are not a race. They're an ethnic group, an ethno-religious group consisting of different races. In fact, Israel happens to be a very ethnically diverse country. Happens to be a very ethnically diverse country compared to European nation states, for example. Very, very, very ironic. And the thing is also, she talks about racial. She is making this about how people who are concerned about anti-Semitism have a Jewish racial supremacy problem. They think that Jews are better than everyone, and you should not talk ill about anything that they represent or like. This is just so sickening. She spends her entire time nowadays bashing Jews and just naming it differently. And seriously, Candace Owens, have you ever checked your frickin' comment sections? You can't tell me that she doesn't know what her comment sections look like on YouTube and on X. They are full of Nazis. Top comments are full of Jew-hating Nazis. So spare me the whole, oh, I'm not anti-Semitic. Yes, you are. You know exactly what you're doing.
So, yeah, guys, think about what AP's pointing out there and how this relates to Candace. So you have a bunch of people screaming about Jews. What about the Jews? The Jews are behind everything. The Jews are covering things up. And Jews respond, why are you so obsessed with us? Sounds like you got a problem with Jews and sounds like you're an anti-Semite. Oh, look, the racial supremacists who think that no one can criticize them. No one's saying anything about not criticizing Jews. It's some people have a weird obsession. And that makes it look like you just don't like Jews. That's why you're so obsessed with them all day, every day. And so that's what they're criticizing, of course. Not, oh, you said something about Jews. Stop misrepresenting. what people are saying. Anyway, so a couple lines down there. According to Media Matters, Owens criticized Jordan Peterson for calling far-right commentator Nick Fuentes a psychopathic rat. Good one, Jordan. After Fuentes tweeted that Jews controlled the Biden administration. Weird. They control the Biden administration. They control the Trump administration. They control everything. They control the entire world. Powerful. Powerful. Super geniuses. They are super geniuses. Mad scientist level super geniuses.
Who jumps to the defense of Nick Fuentes? An open, at least he is very open about the fact that he is anti-Jewish, and that he's also against the survival of the Jews, and that he's also against anything Jewish. At least, unlike her, at least he is open and honest about it. But who in the world jumps to his defense and starts defending him and justifying the things he said? Candace Owens does, of course.
Yeah, Owens suggested that Fuentes could be correct based on the number of Jewish officials appointed to the Biden administration, saying that it seems a weird tweet for Peterson to be so disturbed about.
OMG.
Owens further referred to Fuentes as having a very long background of focusing his attention on Israel and Zionism, and that's what he's reacting to. Fuentes had previously praised Owens, saying she was waging a full-fledged war against the Jews. Owens falsely claimed in an interview with Tristan Tate, brother of Andrew Tate, that Joseph Stalin was Jewish and that Sigmund Freud and Stalinists were part of a Jewish cabal. That's a little secret society running things. Owens claimed that Freud studied Kabbalah and promoted pedophilia through psychoanalysis. Hey, Pete, did you know that Stalin and Sigmund Freud were part of a secret society of Jews?
Joseph Stalin was not Jewish. He had nothing to do with Jews. And Sigmund Freud was an atheist who came from a Jewish family and who had some interest in Kabbalah stuff, but that's about it. She made this whole association that Sigmund Freud was fascinated by Kabbalah and followed a Kabbalistic cult,
He was an atheist.
which as some people do not know, is actually a cult that believes in turning everyone bisexual and overthrowing the entire world. It's nothing like that at all. It might sound a little bit fascinating to some people, but Kabbalah is basically just basic, simple Jewish mysticism that is all about the human relationship with God. That's it.
No, it's a secret sex cult. In July 2024, Owens suggested that Ashkenazi Jews, hey, that's what I'm 2.7%. I'm 2.7% Ashkenazi.
Oh, you see, it's got the word Nazi in it. This is the proof.
Owens suggested that Ashkenazi Jews trace their origin to Khazars and are not related to biblical Jews. According to her, descendants of Khazars were so immoral and corrupt that they were forced to convert to Judaism by Persians and Russians in the 8th century. However, they did not meaningfully convert and carried on their corruption, carried on their sexual deviancy. She suggested that their religious teachings tell them to infiltrate everywhere. You see this? So you've got this, the Ashkenazi Jews still retained their, their corruption and sexual deviancy, and they're immoral and corrupt by nature. So she suggested that their religious teachings tell them to infiltrate everywhere. So they're trying to infiltrate everything. And their elites are disgusting, despicable people. Owens implied that the war in Ukraine is linked to the Khazars' desire to seek revenge on Russia and Iran, so Jews are behind that. She went on to blame instances of sexual abuse in the Catholic Church on them. No, hey, Pete.
There's way too much here to go.
No, there's not too much here. It's very simple. When Catholic priests are molesting altar boys, it's because of the Jews. Which part don't you understand? Candace said it. It must be true. Everyone in the chat who's defending her.
Jeez, I didn't even see that part. That's funny. What? So, man. This is the thing. I've heard a lot of anti-Semitic people in the past make dumb claims. At least some of the things that they said were more complicated to track down and were based on misreadings and misinterpretations of things. Much of what she says here is just complete nonsense that I haven't even heard from other neo-Nazis before. So Let's break this down. Owen suggested that Ashkenazi Jews trace their origins to the Khazars. Okay, this is a very, very well-known conspiracy theory. There are some who suggested that Ashkenazi Jews are descendants of the Khazars, which are a Turkic tribe, by the way, who were nomads and who converted to Judaism. First of all, it was a theory at some point, and the theory was not originally a malicious theory. There were even Jews who suggested that this might be the case, and there was nothing wrong with it, actually. However, it turned out not to be true. We now have enough evidence to show that there is no common denominator of being a descendant of the Khazars. This is this is at this point no longer a valid theory. It has been debunked and is now a conspiracy theory. For people to keep bringing this up is just malicious. It is them ignoring the facts and trying to turn the Jews into fake Jews. That's one. Number two, are not related to biblical Jews. Excuse me. Now she wants to tell us that Jews are a race that all descend from a certain place. Jews never claimed that all of them are collectively blood related. It is mostly blood related, but Jews have always had communities that gave Judaism to each other, that converted, that embraced converts, and so on. Of course, you have Jews of different backgrounds. According to our descendants of Khazars were so immoral and so corrupt that they were forced to convert to Judaism by Persians. What in the world are you talking about? Descendants of Khazars? The theory is not that descendants of Khazars converted to Judaism. The theory is that the Khazars themselves converted to Judaism. She is making up completely ridiculous nonsense that doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even line up with the conspiracy theories. She's just inventing things at this point. So the idea that people have right now, or that the research shows, is that among the Khazars, there was a ruling elite, or the ruling people in charge of the population, who were told to have converted to Judaism. But even of that, historians are not entirely sure. They don't know if that's entirely correct. It may have never happened. But the theory is that the leading Khazar leaders converted to Judaism because they were faced with two threats. The one threat to the southeast was the Muslims. The other was the Christians, who were seemingly a threat to their existence. So they, as pagans, as steppe pagans believing in the Tengri god and different ideas, decided to adopt a religion, but not one of those two. They decided to go for the third one. This happened, according to historians, there are different theories to how this happened, such as that they invited representatives of these different religions, but were more convinced with Judaism. Whatever it is, it somehow happened. But the idea that their descendants were forced to convert, this is complete nonsense. This never happened. That they were so immoral and so corrupt never happened. There is nobody who has ever suggested such a thing. This is completely made up.
Candace just suggested it right here. How can you say nobody? Oh, you hear it? Candace is nobody, according to me.
Completely made up. It's completely.
Oh yeah.
So
next you'll be saying Jews aren't behind the war in Ukraine and aren't responsible for Catholic priests abusing children. Come on, AP. You know Jews are behind everything that ever goes wrong.
Also, on top of that, she's making it look like the Jews are all Ashkenazi Jews, or Israelis are Ashkenazi Jews. The majority of Israelis are not Ashkenazi Jews.
We'll just believe it because you say it. During a live broadcast on August 18th, 2024, Owens claimed that Leo Frank, a Jewish businessman who was wrongly convicted of murder and lynched in the U.S. state of Georgia in October 17th, 1915, had killed Mary Fagan as part of a ritual murder on Passover, again referencing blood libel. Guys, this is what I'm talking about. See, again, if you say, hey, the war in Gaza has gone too far, they should try to work something out, and I don't think you're insane. Even if I disagree with something you say, I don't think that you're insane. I don't think it means you're anti-Semitic and so on. I mentioned earlier, it's like when you fixate on everything think about this. She's going back to the sinking of the U.S. liberty, and you see, and I have to become obsessed with this. And what else? A Jewish guy in 1915. Everyone acknowledges that this guy was just targeted because he was Jewish, and it was blamed because they needed someone to point to and so on. And she brings it back up and makes this huge defense of it as no, he was actually part of some weird Frankist cult engaging in pedophilia and incest as sacramental rites and so on. And they killed Mary Fagan because of part of this ritual murder on Passover. So let's see this. Owens claimed that
The thing is, about Leo Frank is actually we don't know at this point if he was guilty of anything or not. The thing is that the
it was a crap trial. That's the thing. It was a crap trial.
Yeah. The U.S. court itself said that that the entire trial was done unjustly and is therefore invalid, and he cannot be declared guilty. They have not acquitted him of any crimes. This was, of course, posthumous. It was after his death, but they have acknowledged that the entire trial was just was a setup against him. That said, we don't know anything what he actually. Maybe he did something wrong. In which case, he, as a loner, acted on his own behalf. He was not part of a cult or anything. But of course, his last name was Frank, and
she ties it to Frankish cult. So let's read this. Owens claimed that Leo Frank, a Jewish businessman who was wrongly convicted of murder and lynched in the U.S. state of Georgia on August 17, 1915, had killed Mary Fagan as part of a ritual murder on Passover, again referencing blood libel. Owens further claimed that there existed a Frankish cult masquering behind Jews that engages in pedophilia and incest as sacramental rites.
Beast.
She stated that there are tens of thousands of pedophiles who hide from justice in Israel. In your face. Israel. Owens' father-in-law, Lord Farmer, has publicly repudiated her repeated anti-Semitic remarks. Owens was disinvited from a Trump...
Hold on. Make a decision, Lord or Farmer. You can't be both.
I'm Lord. I'm king of the farmers.
It's like Tyson Fury calling himself the Gypsy King, right? It's like Gypsy King. What are you talking about? You can't be a king if you're a gypsy. Yeah. Owens' father-in-law, Lord Farmer, has publicly repudiated her repeated anti-Semitic remarks. Owens was disinvited from a Trump campaign fundraiser in the summer of 2024 following criticism from Jewish groups. You see that Jews control everything. This is another perfect example of it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, Jews control everything. It's like, how do you know? Because they're behind the sexual abuse in the Catholic Church, and they started the war in Ukraine, and they sank to liberty to try and kill Americans, and there's a secret sex cult, blah, 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 blah. And you say, oh man, we don't want her speaking at our event. You go, you see, the Jews are controlling everything.
This is the proof.
Has it occurred to you that maybe groups just don't want to be associated with this stuff?
No, that's because they're superior.
Oh, hang on. Owens has suggested that IPAC, a pro-Israel lobbying group, was responsible for the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. So wait a minute. What are Jews responsible for? 9/11, the communism, sex scandals in the Catholic Church. They're just behind everything. But then Owens has suggested IPAC it's responsible for the assassination of President John F. Kennedy.
Powerful.
Israel and Palestine. Owens, a critic of Israel, and increasingly stridently expressed her negative views of the country during the 2023 Israel-Hamas war. In October 2023, she criticized... So you're talking October. So this is right after it happened, 2023. She criticized an Israeli strike on a church in Gaza in which Christians were killed, tweeting, "I have been disgusted by the propagandists pretending a Christian church was not bombed. Christians were killed. No Christian should stay silent." And later, "If you think it's anti-Semitism to notice that innocent Christians were killed in an IDF bombing, then you need to log off." Clarifying her views in early November, Owens tweeted, "No government anywhere has a right to commit a genocide, ever." So she's in the Israel's committing genocide category. And let's see, her stance on Israel led to her break with Ben Shapiro, co-founder of the Daily Wire, the website for which Candace Owens then worked, contributing to her departing it in March 2024. Shapiro saw her position as increasingly anti-Semitic. Really weird. Owens criticized U.S. support for Israel, saying she did not believe that American taxpayers should have to pay for Israel's wars or the wars of any other country, but also posted about political Jews and a very small ring of specific people who are using the fact that they are Jewish to shield themselves from any criticism. Comments Shapiro described as absolutely disgraceful. So that's a little summary of Candace.
That's a typical conspiracy theory there. Once again, the whole thing about the IDF bombing a church. There was the instance which she described back then in October, where the IDF, as part of their airstrikes on Hamas positions, conducted an airstrike of a building that was close to or adjacent to a church. So they didn't conduct an airstrike on the church. It was based on a building that is adjacent to the church, as a result of which the church also suffered damage. And part of it collapsed.
Wait a minute.
so
Are
that-
you saying the IDF stations themselves right beside churches, hoping that the church will be hit in the crossfire?
Yes.
Uh-oh. Yeah, so, but AP, think about guys, this is a perfect example. This is a perfect example. What I'm talking about, when would you call someone anti-Semitic? It's when you're putting Jews in this special category and applying rules that you would never apply anywhere. How many churches were hit in German bombing of the UK during World War II?
Zero.
A bunch.
Zero.
How many churches were hit across Europe in bombings during World War II? A bunch.
-1.
Bunch. So think about this. You should never let this slide. This means that all Europeans are declaring war on Christianity. They're trying to commit mass murder. They're trying to commit genocide against Christians. You see, because why? Because they're bombing churches. That's what happens when you drop bombs on things, because you're trying to hit targets. That happens. Why are the Jews the only group anywhere in history where if you're trying to take out some terrorists or your enemies or something like this, and you hit something, you hit a church, you see the Jews have declared war on Christianity. They're trying to kill all the Christians. It's genocide against Christians. What? This is what we're talking about.
They're eating the churches.
They're eating the Christians.
I want to just ask a very simple question for everyone who has the idea that
Israel is against Christians. Israel is destroying churches.
Now, first off, I want to state one very simple fact, which is that as a result of fighting between Israel and the Palestinian side, lots of things have been damaged over time. That includes the military sites, historical places, mosques, churches, hospitals, schools, apartment buildings, public buildings, random roads, empty places, parks, synagogues, ancient Jewish sites, historical Jewish sites in Gaza, and so on. Why are we saying,
Oh, look! Why would they damage a church in an airstrike?
Israel also happens to damage their own structure and their own buildings and their own population, not because they so happily want to, but because they are constantly pulled into a freaking violent war, a violent conflict where they are left with no choices but to fire back against those terrorists who embed themselves in the middle of everything that is considered protected, that is considered holy, that is considered good, in order to fight an extermination war against Jews. They proudly do that. What do you expect the Jews, Israelis to do? Nothing? If people do that to you, if people did that to America every day, all day, what would you expect America to do? Nothing? Would you expect America to just disregard their own safety, the safety of their own people, the safety of their own population? What would these gropers and others call Western nations or America if this is how America and how Western nations would act? At least Israel has the balls to actually do something in response to being threatened. Whereas Western nations have completely lost they have been collectively castrated, which is why they're dealing with mass immigration and terrorist attacks and so on with nothing except, we are shocked to learn that this has happened and we strictly condemn it. Israel is doing what the entire Western world should have been doing in response to violent threats. And I'm happy and proud. I'm happy for the Israeli people that they have governments like this. And I want to just ask one simple question to those gropers and Nazi fans who hate Jews. Out of these two sides here, which one do you think has actively gone officially against Christianity and against churches and tried to abolish churches and change them into something else? The Nazis or Israel? You will be shocked to learn that it's actually the Nazis. It played a big role in their internal politics, especially toward the end of the war, where they said we are sick of Christian church influence. They denounced the Catholic Church because the Catholic Church condemned their actions. Then they started denouncing the Protestant churches left and right, except for those who remained and agreed with them or refused to condemn them outright. But the ultimate plan, recorded in Goebbels's writings and others, and even the internal talks authorized by Hitler and transcribed, were pointing out very clearly that the goal after the war is to abolish autonomous churches of any denomination inside Germany and to establish only one single approved German church that is called positive Christianity or German Christianity, which would be a Christianity that is fully in line with Nazi ideas, fully in rejection of the Old Testament, fully removing any Jewish aspects and making it all about Hitler's own ideals. So they were aiming for the complete corruption and overhaul of Christianity into their own new pagan Christian religion, which is why other Christians went against them and were even killed on that path. So if you have a problem with people who are against Christianity or with ideologies or parties that are against Christians, you shouldn't have a problem with Israel. You should have a problem with the Nazis, you freaking idiots.
And you should hate all Germans forever, and especially anyone who's ever lived in Germany.
Yes.
That's the other element. That's the other element of when trying to assess whether someone is putting forward a legitimate criticism or you just hate Jews. Anti-Semites usually tend to point to anything any Jew has ever done and then apply it to the group, or anything any Jew does today, or anything any Jew in history has said, and then you apply it to the group and say, you see, the Jews. So it's, look, a church got bombed. You see, Jews, this is what Jews did. Look, here's a video of a Jew spitting in the direction of a Christian. You see, this is what Jews do. And you don't apply that to Germans and say, look what Germans did. They tried to wipe out Christianity and change it, and they bombed churches. They bombed churches, therefore Germans. You don't do that with any other group. Just one group where you do that.
Only one.
Couple super chats here.
Only one.
President reportedly considering commuting sentences of up to 40 federal inmates on death row, possibly including Dzhokhar Tsarnaev and Dylan Roof. I'd have to see that. That would be interesting. So Tsarnaev, he's the one behind, one of the two brothers behind the Boston Marathon bombing, and Dylan Roof, mass murderer. So I don't know. I've only seen that from you, but I don't have a reason not to trust you. But I think that would be, saying it's suggested is one thing. If they actually do that, that would be interesting. Start wondering if they're just trying to sabotage. I keep wondering if, like, some people are just ticked off. Okay, you got a couple things. It's like, one, you could say, okay, we just lost the election and we're just going to throw a tantrum and do as much damage as possible. There's also the possibility that some Biden loyalists are ticked off that they threw him under the bus and went with Kamala, and then they're like, oh, screw the entire party. We're going to make the party look as bad as possible here on the last couple of weeks, just because they dissed our guy. But anyway, or they could just believe this and, hey, let's go ahead and let all these guys slide. Because some of the people that they're letting, they're commuting sentences and giving pardons to, some of them are like absolute scumbags. I hadn't seen anything like Tsarnaev level or something like that. But when I was looking into a couple of the examples, there were judges, I think, where was it? Maryland or Pennsylvania or something like that. There were judges who they got rid of all the local facilities for juvenile offenders So then when a juvenile got convicted of something, they would have to send him off to a private juvenile correctional facility, and the state would have to pay for that, but the judges are getting kickbacks. The judges are becoming millionaires off sending juveniles to these other facilities. After the judges close down these state-run facilities, then they send them to the private ones, and the private ones are giving them a cut of the mud. These guys became millionaires and stuff. Anyway, these guys got in trouble for it, went to prison over it, and are getting pardoned. Interesting stuff. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Still plenty of time for Biden to do what he wants. And there is the issue of, what is Biden actually doing? Nothing. He's signing documents that are put in front of him because he's told to sign them. I doubt he has any role in any of this besides signing papers that he's told to sign. So it's kind of who else is doing it, and how much are they getting paid to do it? What's that?
Have some respect for our powerful, strong president, Joe Biden.
He's very strong.
As a kid, I was taught in madrasa, semen stains translate to water droplets, which he acquired from wudu. Aisha was a good wife. You're right to laugh at that. That is silly. It's true that water is used as kind of a euphemism for semen and so on, but the semen on his clothes, that was not water until after Aisha washed it. How do we know? Because she talks about washing off the semen stains. Wouldn't make sense to wash off the water droplets. She also talks about scratching off the semen. It wouldn't make any sense to scratch off water. She would talk about having to scrape it off his clothes before he was heading to the mosque. You don't scrape off water. So, yep, your imam was lying to you.
David's favorite topic, the semen on Muhammad's clothes.
Cat Lady says, can you talk about Sam Shamoun's views? Thoughts? No. No. Asks on what? Sam's views? Oh, he believes that Jesus is Lord. Great. No, ask Sam about his views. CNN is patriotic compared to Haaretz. It is way worse, and its readers in English are almost entirely composed of Jew-Israel haters, which says a lot. Is that true?
Pretty much.
Okay,
it's basically it's the source of anti-Israel propaganda inside Israel. It's like, and to then be go for that source and be like, oh, I'm reading Israeli sources. Okay, man.
That was her defense, ladies and gentlemen. I read Haaretz, and it's like, okay, so we're saying that Haaretz is far more anti their own country than CNN is in the U.S. CNN is patriotic. Interesting. Let's see. D. Wood goes after Dawagandists. AP goes after Candace and Brianna Joy Gray. Draw your own conclusions. That is a valid point.
That's a good point. Powerful.
How can you land on the moon when Muhammad split it? Good point. You would fall through the crack. That's a good point.
Powerful.
Nazi scientists developed much of NASA technology.
Yeah, there was a group of Nazi.
They're working on rockets.
There were the Nazi scientists who were actually brought over to. This is another thing, man.
Do not spend 25 minutes on this, man.
No, there were. So the U.S. secretly brought over a bunch of Nazi scientists because they thought the Nazis were working on some really advanced stuff for their ambitions of world domination. So they wanted to bring them over and make use of their knowledge and their work to advance in rocket science, aerodynamics, and things like that. So they brought them over. Very few people were also brought over who worked in different sciences. It turned out that apparently later on it was found out that one of the scientists they brought over apparently at some point was involved in Germany in some controversial, abusive scientific experiments, such as subjecting concentration camp victims to suffocation to see how long they can breathe on their own, to develop
Wait, AP, it makes no sense from a medical perspective. That just doesn't make any sense. That sounds like propaganda, AP. That sounds like propaganda. It doesn't make sense. I'm sitting here thinking, I wouldn't do that. Therefore, no one else would do that. Therefore, it makes no sense, and it's propaganda.
Yeah, this is how sick the Nazis were. They took concentration camp victims and conducted experiments on them, which they couldn't conduct on average German citizens, such as submerging them in water or putting them in ice cold things to see how long they can breathe and not die. Of course, if they die, they're like, well, this one is gone. Bring a new one. To develop efficient ways of equipping the military with means to survive and underwater and things like that. They were doing lots of experiments. So one of the scientists they brought over turned out to have engaged in such experiments. That's it. There is no other person who was proven to have engaged in other cruel experiments, like cutting up people and sewing them back together. But Candace Owens wants to make it look like, oh, what if all those scientists, if those scientists were all evil and they were cutting people up and sewing them back together, why did we bring them all over? And why did they conduct experiments on America? Never happened. Never happened. They also didn't conduct experiments on Americans. Never happened.
Yeah. What's true is the Germans had a bunch of scientists. We stole a bunch of them.
Base.
So did the Russians. That's what you had. People who said, "Hey, we're going to have to deal with this Soviet Union. We might as well do it while we're over here and we're mobilized and they're weak and reeling after this war, because we need to deal with them before they get nuclear weapons." And then it was estimated, well, we don't have to worry about that. It will take them at least 15 years to build a nuclear weapon. But the Russians stole as many German scientists as we did, and they had they had nuclear weapons very, very quickly.
That was a very smart move. I mean, that's what America did was they worked together with Stalin to defeat Germany, and then publicly it was like, "Good job, we did very, very well." And then immediately, okay, guys, we have to get some of those scientists. They are getting some. We have to get them. We have to be ahead of them. This is a threat. Russia is the next threat. We have to get ahead of them. So they stole a bunch of scientists to get ahead of them. That's what happened. It's a pretty smart move.
Yeah. And you had Patton. Patton actually saw it coming. Patton was the one going, we need to fight these guys. We got the army here. Let's go. Let's just keep moving right into Moscow. Zappy here says, I retract my previous super chats. My opinion was that understanding why Nazism rose in the past is critical to preventing it now. Love your guys' content, by the way. Oh, if you say understanding Nazism is important for understanding preventing it now, I would actually agree that looking to the past and how people take over and spread insane ideas is relevant. No, that's entirely relevant, Zappy. In fact, a few years ago, I made a video about George Orwell's review of Hitler's Mein Kampf and what he said. And he explained why someone like Hitler could rise to power so quickly. And he believed it could happen again if you had similar circumstances and so on. And he had this interesting discussion of human nature and how politicians do not understand it and why there are people who can take advantage of that. So yeah, no, it can be relevant. Let's see.
Einstein was a Jew. They're the reason nukes got used. The reason we fear nuke war now. They're to blame. You see?
Einstein was a Frankist.
You see, the Frankist Jews are trying to get us to nuke everyone else so that Israel can be the only nation left. I'm also seeing a growing anti-Jewish sentiment among the Orthodox on X. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of...
There are lots of LARPers on X. Lots of people who join a tribe because there's nothing else, and then try to be representatives of that tribe and act like that group is like that. It's like, I don't know. I was kind of curious about this kind of stuff, and then came to find out that that the Christian groups on social media are a very, very terrible representation of the religious groups that they try to represent.
Hello, Dr. Wood and non-Dr. AP. Do y'all know of any good books against Holocaust denial, or just where to start reading about the Holocaust in general? Seriously, Luke, I would just go start somewhere simple, like a history site, or even Wikipedia. Go on Wikipedia and look for a topic you're interested in, and then follow the links, because those links will go to more detailed articles, and then read up on some.
Simple.
What?
There's nothing simple about this. I'm always annoyed with the fact that there are no the evidence is vast. It is huge, but there is not much content that is for bite-sized, that is for a short attention span, which is
Yep.
very much famous nowadays. It's not easily accessible with good overview, but you have websites like you have like the Holocaust museums, you have the American Holocaust Museum, you have the Yad Vashem in Israel, which has a very, very good database on the Holocaust. You have the Avalon Project, which has all the transcripts of all the Nazi trials, the Nuremberg trials, extensively. You can find everything that the Nazi officers said. You can find YouTube channels dedicated
Luke,
to these.
Luke, and you know what? You know what you don't find in those transcripts of the trials? You don't find. What are you talking about? We didn't kill a bunch of Jews.
No, on the contrary, you
Again,
find
their defense was we were following orders. In other words, if you accuse me and you say, "Hey, did you kill these 100 people?" and you say, "What? No, I didn't kill those 100 people." That's very different from, "Yes, I killed those 100 people, but I was ordered to." If you say I was ordered, I did it because I was ordered to, you're acknowledging you did all this stuff, right? It's an overwhelming pattern in these trials.
Here is Rudolf Höss. He was in charge of Auschwitz from 1940 to 1943. I have the transcript right in front of me. You can find it on famous-trials.com. It says, so he's questioned, from 1940 to 1943, you were the commander of the camp of Auschwitz. Is that true? He says, yes. And during that time, hundreds of thousands of human beings were sent to their death there. Is that correct? Yes. Is it true that you yourself have made no exact notes regarding the figures of the number of those victims because you were forbidden to make them? Yes, that is correct. Is it furthermore correct that exclusively one man by the name of Eichmann had notes about this, the man who had the task of organizing and assembling these people? Yes. Notice, at this point, Eichmann is not at the trials. This is 20 years or 15 years before Eichmann is captured by Israel and is then tried, and he confirms these exact same things. He says, yes. Is it furthermore true that Eichmann stated to you that in Auschwitz a total sum of more than 2 million Jews had been destroyed? Höss's answer is yes. Men, women, and children, yes. And so on. These are direct transcripts that are gathered by...
The Jews made up those transcripts.
These people never denied any of these things. They just said, we were following orders. We didn't have a personal thing. We were just following orders, man.
Yeah, so Luke, it's a weird situation where you think, why does anyone need to defend something that is this obvious historically? And the reason is that you have a bunch of morons spreading nonsense. And so if you're interested in that, check out some sources. You do not need to fully master everything to get started. You can go read an article, find something interesting. Look up, matter of fact, if you're dealing with a specific claim, if someone says, no, it couldn't be the Jew because this, then look up a response to that and start sharing that and just keep going from there. Ayatollah says, David, you mentioned responding to Calvin Robinson. He's more interested in grifting. I am a right-wing conservative Orthodox Christian, but the day my priest speaks about being based is the day I leave. Nice try, Ayatollah Khamenei. You've got the leader of Iran telling us that he's a devout Christian. Come on. Oh boy, nice try. According to Genesis 2, verses 10 to 14, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers start at the Garden of Eden. Wouldn't that mean that the Garden of Eden is somewhere in Turkey?
Yes.
No. If you're going with the traditional
I already said yes, man.
literal view of Genesis, you can't apply pre-flood stuff to post-floods. You can't, in other words, the world would have changed from the flood. You can't say, oh, it says this was near the Garden of Eden, therefore, after the flood, that's where things were at.
I already said yes.
Wouldn't work. Or you could go with AP's answer and embarrass yourself. There's an article in Haaretz that calls Candace an Antisemite. So I guess we need to take Candace's advice and believe them on that. Well, she does have a subscription, so keep in mind, following her reasoning, she does have a subscription. This media company has no reason to lie, and therefore everything they say has to be trusted, and therefore she's good as gold.
I immediately googled Haaretz Candace Owens, far right pundit Candace Owens, revives anti-Semitic blood libels, peddles ADL conspiracies. These are Haaretz articles.
Dude, AP. If you want a short video, just take the clips of her from the Piers Morgan show. I have a subscription to Haaretz, and they say, why would they lie? Why would they make things up? And then just post what they said. It's easy to do. I can't figure out why you don't do it, huh?
Somebody please clip that for me and send me that. I want to publish it.
Hey, David, guess what? I disagree with you. I must be anti-Semitic. Nah, I'm just not afraid to say thousands of dead people seems over the top. Thousands of dead people seems over the top. What do you do with millions who died in World War II and millions who died in World War I? Millions of dead people really seems over the top. Therefore, we should not have fought it, and we shouldn't have fought.
People dead bad. Okay, good. Fantastic.
Yeah, great. You're doing awesome work, Pop.
Oh, me no like thousands of deaths, so let terrorists go. Let terrorists go. Let terrorists have victory.
War. I just don't like war, man.
Yeah, don't like it. Let terrorists wipe out all of Israel so we don't have to deal with dead bodies. We don't want dead terrorists. We don't want it. No.
Come on, girl.
Why are we fighting? Why don't we all just schmooze each other? Why are we not fighting?
Hey, AP, have you read The Sun Rises by William Lane Craig? Love what you guys do. D-Wood was actually why I got into apologetics after seeing his video on Ramadan. God bless.
No, I haven't read it.
It's actually a short one. It's and he wrote that, I think, early 80s, because I remember reading that a long time ago. But I think it was like early 80s. He wrote a book called The Sun Rises. But it's a short book. I mean, it's like 100 pages or something like that. It's him going through the basic information about Jesus' resurrection.
The sun rises.
Nazis were injecting petrol in children's eyes. But what sense would that make? That would make no sense. That would make no sense, and therefore it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And even if you have records of it, that sounds like propaganda, because why would anyone do that? Me going DEFCON 1 in Afghan while the Taliban is reanimating from their dumb little flag rock covered graves. I wonder what Jews are doing right now. Yeah. A funny thing I notice about anti-Semites, they seem to never consider the fact that Jews could be idiots. It's always that they are malicious. That's the point.
Know, right?
Yeah, like talking about like the USS Liberty and so on and bombing. It's like you never crosses your mind that it's a messed up situation, guys. So if depending on, I don't know how long we'll go because we haven't even gotten to the Piers Morgan video and stuff. We'll watch a bit of it here, but the Liberty is one of her favorite topics now because it's something that's like. 60 years ago or something like this. And the IDF attacked a U.S. ship, and it was a giant mess. It was a giant mess. They had said, hey, no one come. The Israel had announced no one come within 100 miles or whatever it was of this area because we will interpret it as an Egyptian ship if you do. The U.S. told their ships not to go within 100 miles and so on. You had the USS Liberty that did. It's a spy ship, and they went in for some reason. But they sent messages to Israel saying, hey, we are going to be here. And then the ship gets attacked. And there can't be miscommunication. There couldn't have been. It has to be malicious. It has to be Jews attacking a U.S. ship. It has to be. And that's the point. No, it can't be a bunch of incompetence. It can't be a bunch of people screwing up. It can't be miscommunication. It can't be any of that. And that's why it's always, no, the Jews are killing their own people. Because there were multiple instances of friendly fire attacks during that war. There are multiple instances of friendly fire attacks in the war that's going on right now. There are multiple instances of friendly fire attacks happening in Ukraine. It was like Putin brought in North Korean soldiers, and then the North Korean soldiers fired on Russian soldiers and so on. I mean, think if you actually treated North Koreans like you treat Jews, it'd be, you see, the North Koreans are only there to kill the Russians. And it was all a part. It's a plot. It's part of a plot of Kim Jong-un to kill as many Russians as possible so he can take over Russia. That's what you do it. That's what you do there.
What they do.
Let's see. Hail, Apostate Prophet. When is the Piers Morgan's interview? Yeah, people want to see you on Piers Morgan, but he doesn't ask you. You got to get more. That's why you got to get more famous, man. You got to shoot up to 1 million, then he'll invite you on. Because he'll invite anyone on if he thinks he'll get enough attention.
Here's the thing. I'm already in touch with Piers Morgan's agent, who arranges the things, and I have been told that after the election time is over, I should be invited for a conversation about the situation. However, I haven't heard back after that. It also followed up and haven't heard back after that again. And I talked to some other people who said to me that he and his show explicitly tell people not to talk about Islam related stuff. Isn't that funny?
Powerful, powerful, powerful.
Isn't that funny?
Jew John McIsaac exposed Hunter Biden's laptop. McIsaacs are Jewish. I'm related to them. They're Danites. There you have it, folks. Religion of peace strikes again in Germany today. We don't know that. We don't know that. There are some. It's easy to say, oh, Saudi national and so on. Got to take a closer look at motivation. Why would anyone be anti-semi-truck? Semi-truck, not semi-Semitic. Momo drank Dia's water droplets. That is one possible interpretation of the evidence. Love you guys. Thank you, Grumpy Granny. Let's see. As said in the past, anti-Semitism equals bad terminology. Should use two separate terms for the ethnic and religious components, e.g. anti-Hebrew and anti-Judaism.
The reason we use anti-Semitism is because, funnily enough, many people don't know this, anti-Semitism is actually a term that was not invented, but pretty much coined and popularized by people who did indeed have a problem and who hated Jews racially, and who used the term anti-Semitism to proudly describe their hostility toward Jews, and to distinguish it from just being against the religion. They were saying that it's not just the religion that is the problem, it's the entire race that is the problem. And they invented this whole anti-Semitism thing. So when idiots nowadays come and say, I can't be anti-Semitic, I'm Middle Eastern, I'm Semitic. It's a very stupid point. First off, Semitic is a language family. We don't use it to refer to a certain people of a certain race, which is a construct that doesn't really exist. Secondly, we're using the word anti-Semitism because anti-Semites themselves made up the word to describe themselves, which is why we are using that to specifically describe those who have a problem with Jews altogether, not just with the religious group or with religious people. And this is also what most of the anti-Jewishness is about. They don't just hate religious Jews or just secular Jews. They hate Jews altogether, no matter of what political, allegiance, religious background, racial background, whatever it is.
Mark Creemore in the chat says, Tovia Singer utterly obliterated the idea that Jesus could have been the Messiah. Not sure how he did that, but Mark Creemore, would you like the next time I'm having a live stream that we can watch the debate between Tovia Singer and Michael Brown?
It
was back in the 90s. I've never seen it, but I know they had a debate about this, and that Tovia Singer's been running from him ever since. So you want to check it out? We can check it out. We'll check it out. I've never watched it. Happy to do it. Let's see. A couple more. Most anti-Semites are both, so they're against the group and against the religion, but it's important to not use bad terminology that's exploited, but I'm a Semite. I'm just criticizing the Talmud.
No, Semites.
The evil anti-Hebrew racist.
Semites don't exist.
The evil anti-Hebrew racist who apply insane double standards on only one ethnic group in the world would be exposed and described for what they are.
Yes, good super-based people.
The only time Muhammad split the moon is when he bent over, as Aisha thought Muhammad claimed his own thoughts were basically Allah's thoughts. We could do something funny like that, like Diha walks out one day and says, wow, Muhammad really split the moon last night, but they took it seriously. Like, what? Muhammad split the moon? It's a miracle. It's a miracle. That would be a pretty easy little skit to make.
So stupid.
Read Ibn Asak's Life of Muhammad. Jews trolled him. How can we follow you? You have abandoned our Qibla, and you do not allege that Uzair is the son of God. Oh yeah, that's It looks like Muhammad was getting trolled quite a bit. None of us read Haaretz. None of us take them seriously. Well, Candace does, and that's all that matters, even though they call her an anti-Semite. On a more
Candace
positive
is
note,
the most reliable person out there. So
yeah. On a more positive note, imagine a commercial for Garkid trees. We'll never snitch. Repels all jihad. Comes with Sahih's stamp of approval. Order one now before the day of judgment. Allahu Garkid. We may need to make a commercial for Garkid trees along those lines. That would be funny. AP, why are you running from your own topic? That the German guy with the funny-looking mustache was not a Christian. That's a good point.
powerful.
Running from your own comment. As a Christian, I think I'll convert to Judaism solely because, according to Candace and Groypers, I'd be the smartest people on earth. That's what Destiny said when he was asked, "Hey, if you weren't an atheist, if you had to convert to a religion, what would you convert to?" And he was in a debate with Suleiman Ahmed. He said, "Well, I think I'll convert to Judaism since, according to you, they're controlling everything. There's only a couple million of them." So that was actually funny. Contact Brandon Tatum.
I have been informed that if you convert to Judaism, you have to have spent a certain amount of years to be included into those who rule the world. So I thought it could be happening immediately, but they told me no, you have to be at least like 5 years or so.
Oh yeah, you gotta wait to rule the world. Okay.
They did offer a taste of the whole weather control machine. I was like, I don't really care about the weather, man. So yeah.
How long before you get to use their space lasers?
15 years.
Oh, gosh, that's too long, man. I don't even know if I'll be around in 15 years. CA says, contact Brandon Tatum to have a debate with Candace.
Whomst?
I know she's worked with him in the past. They're the ones who founded Blexit together. They started Blexit together. I saw that literally while we were going through that, while we were scrolling through that Wikipedia article. So... yeah, you might be able to contact her for debate. Guys, she's not going to debate AP. She knows she'll get crushed. The main thing I noticed, Jew haters always either fabricate sources entirely or radically misrepresent something, especially lying about the Talmud. Yeah, and I said before, there are all sorts of things you could object to in the Talmud. But one, they do make up sources. In other words, they're giving a quote, and they'll give the source. It's not in the Talmud. It's a made-up source. But yes, ripping things out of context to distort the meanings, very, very, very common. And then at the end of the day, even if you find something that is, whoa, that is actually, you read it in context and it's really something messed up, it's a rabbi saying it. It's not, this goes back to taking something that anyone has ever said and applying it to all Jews. And that's what the Groypers will do. They say, look at this thing that this rabbi said. But they'll say, this is the Talmud and this is what Jews believe. When that same, you could go to that same section and it'll say, Rabbi so-and-so said this, and it'll be something messed up. And it'll say, Rabbi so-and-so responded. So a different rabbi says, no, this guy's wrong. This is what you need to believe. That's actually what's going on in the Talmud. The Groypers and their allies will point to something, completely ignore the context, completely ignore other rabbis saying other things, and say, this is what Jews believe. Messed up stuff. AP loves it. I'd pay to see you react to Dr. Brown singer debate. Oh, okay. Well, Justin actually wants to. Again, I haven't seen it. We watched the debate between Michael Brown and Rabbi Shmuley. But yeah, we could actually do that. And Dr. Michael Brown is the man. Again, I do not know what happened in that debate. I've heard that after that, Tovia Singer would never face Michael Brown again. So I'm if I had to guess, I would say Tovia got schooled, but I don't know that.
Well, I'm not a fan of Tovia Singer.
You see, he hates Jews. You see this? I can't believe that. Why would he say this?
All right, guys. I do not know how long. We will go a little bit longer. Let's check out some of this, Candace and Pierce.
One of the narratives at the time was that you're anti-Semitic, as you know. And on Sunday, you were named Anti-Semite of the Year by the watchdog Stop Anti-Semitism. It said you blew the competition away with more votes than anyone in previous years. And their founder, Leora Rez, told the New York Post, Candace Owens, witch's brew of anti-Semitism drew from vile medieval blood libels, including claims that Jews drink Christian blood, conspiracies that Jews are pedophiles who control the media and are taking over America, modern toxic anti-Israel hysteria. There is no psychotic rabbit hole too extreme for this poisonous hater. Now, we'll come to the specifics of that.
Keep in mind, they said a bunch of stuff because she said it, but she'll laugh as if it's all Ridiculous accusations.
Which are obviously pretty full on. This general feeling that people have that you're an anti-Semite, address that head on.
Well, it's actually not even a general feeling. So that what's really remarkable is if you go underneath that post or go find the New York Post post, every single comment is in my favor. And so we've gotten to this point now where the charges of anti-Semitism.
Did you see what she just said? Look at the comments. That's what she said in her acceptance speech. She posted an acceptance speech where she accepts the Anti-Semite of the Year award. She says, but look at the comments under those things. What's she saying? AP, did you catch this? So they're saying, look at all this insane stuff about Jews drinking Christian blood and things like that you've supported in the past. And her response is, but look at when they post an article complaining about me, what happens? Look at the comments saying, no, you're stupid, Candace is based. And that's how you should decide whether she's right or her critics are right. That is very interesting methodology.
Are kind of going through the exact same routine that the charges of racism did back with BLM. Like, first, people took that very seriously. Like, if I said, Piers, you're a white supremacist, you would have just been astonished, because who wants to be called a white supremacist? But then you started to realize this was about power, and this was about control, and this was about trying to manipulate people to take your perspective. And post October 7th, you had what I refer to them as like the Likud party media in America. I count the New York Post among them, who just insisted that unless you agreed with everything that Bibi Netanyahu was doing and towed a very specific line, they were going to smear and libel you and ruin your life. And
Pause.
Already done.
The New York
AP, already
Times.
done.
The New York Times. Man, if you ask Jews, Zionist Jews, Israelis right now, one of the publications that they have the biggest problem with right now, in the face of everything that is going on since October 7, is the New York Times. Because of all the horrible propaganda and people that they have platformed and gave a voice to, the twisting of things, the publishing of an article in which they actually gave anti-Israeli volunteers the chance to spread faked photos and faked X-rays of supposedly kids' heads with bullets in them, which are just so obviously fake. This was the New York Times. That one is supposed to be. That one is supposed to be. It's just so ridiculous, man. I don't know.
Yes, it is. AP, and we just saw it yet again. So she's the one going with insane conspiracy theories. Are you drunk on Christian blood? Things of that nature. You can go down the list of all the things that Jews are behind. Jews are behind the JFK assassination, the war in Ukraine, all this stuff. And when you ask, say, are you an anti-Semite? It's, well, what we found out is that anyone who doesn't agree completely with what Netanyahu is doing is going to be smeared. AP, aren't there regular rallies in Israel against what Netanyahu is doing? Isn't there public criticism of what Netanyahu is doing? Aren't there tons and tons? She's talking to someone right now who routinely criticizes what Netanyahu does. We're not calling him an anti-Semite. So, guys, keep in mind, this is always the instant fallback position. Instantly, you can say, "Oh, the Jews did this, the Jews did that, the Jews sunk the Titanic, the Jews killed this, the Jews are killing the penguins, the Jews are melting the ice caps, the Jews are destroying the universe." And someone says, "You got a problem with Jews?" They go, "Oh, look! Anytime I don't agree with every single thing Netanyahu ever does, I get persecuted." What she does every time. And people who are like her, they always pull this. So I'm saying this horrible, evil, messed up, idiotic, insane things that anyone who does 5 minutes of research could refute. And the moment I'm called on it, I say, "You see, we're not allowed to talk about the Jews. The Jews are controlling everything. This is the proof. They're behind everything. They control the media. They control everything. They control Hollywood. They control the education system. They're the most powerful people who have ever existed. They're basically gods among us, using us all as puppets. I'm not insane." What?
I'm thinking at this point.
You're not thinking.
On her next live stream, I want to make a big super chat and ask her to debate me in front of everyone, and then also publish the response of it on my channel.
Oh yeah, make a nice big super chat and challenge her to debate you.
The thing is, I don't want to waste money.
Well, it's not wasted money. You're giving it to Candace Owens. Hey, or you could pay whatever she charges, $20,000 for 5 minutes talking to her, or whatever that is, like to actually pay. Funny.
I mean, really, what a grifter! She actually has this thing offered where if you want to talk to her for 15 minutes, you have to pay like $20,000.
It's something fun. It's something awesome like that.
You know, a lot of people, I think, shirked at that and kind of wanted to keep their head low. I didn't play that game with my own community. I was willing to take all of the figurative bullets.
Guys, keep in mind, in case you missed it, what she just said was, so he's asked, hey, you're being accused as being anti-Semitic because of all these things that you've said. Her response, well, after October 7th, you weren't allowed to say anything remotely critical of what anything Netanyahu has done. You weren't allowed, you would be smeared. And while most people cowered from that, I didn't. I don't back down from that. I didn't do that with my own people attacking me. And I'm not going to do it now. So what did she just do? Hey, are you anti-Semitic? No, I'm brave. I'm based. I'm the one willing to defend the truth here, even when they try to silence me, even when they threaten me, even when they use all their powers, they're controlling the entire universe to try to control me. I will not be controlled like that. I will keep defending the truth, even though they could kill me at any point, because that's what they do. Remember the other clip where this is the only group where anytime you mention it, you have to worry about being killed.
Look, nobody is in any danger because they criticize Israel. Nobody is in any danger because they criticize Jews. People do it all day. You spend half of your time doing all kinds of weird stuff in your basements, and the rest of your time talking trash about Jews. Nothing happens to you. You know who's really in danger? People who talk trash about Islam. You know who's really in danger? People who call out Islam. Mm-hmm. David and I, we are in actual danger. Mm-hmm. Candace Owens and people who talk trash about Jews and Israel are in no danger. You are not even counterculture. You are the culture. You are a bunch of normies. You are the NPCs. You just go with the, I don't believe what the media is saying, but I'm also going to peddle everything that is currently popular in the media because I'm stupid. That's what you guys are. You notice with Candace Owens here, when she is put on the spot, she doesn't actually respond to the topic at all. She always has this tactic of wiggling herself out of what I actually
and she's
said,
the hero.
What actually happened. You can't say anything without people attacking. And what I actually meant, what I actually said, she always does this ridiculous thing. She always has a monologue where she can spout whatever nonsense she wants when she's in her echo chamber, when she's unchallenged. But when somebody puts her on the spot, she's like, oh, I didn't say that, what I actually meant. And why are you attacking me? Oh, are you saying I'm anti-Semitic? OMG. She is a retarded person who is a hero for retarded people. She would never have a debate on topical on this kind of stuff with people who are actually informed. I am somebody who is informed on pretty much everything that she has talked about over the last year or so. She knows nothing at all. She knows nothing at all.
So she knows about Leo Frank.
If any person who has any idea on these topics she talks about sat in a room with her together and was put in front of a camera, was given a microphone, had a debate with her, she would look like the ridiculous clown that she is, without allowing her the option to say, oh, I didn't mean that, what I actually meant. No, you didn't. Here's what you said, and here are the facts. She would never do this because she is a clown and a grifter who pretends to be after truth, but all she does is to pander to these Jew-hating losers who spend their times nowadays masturbating to the only black person that they happen to somehow like because she says something they agree with.
I have to say, every answer she gives, it's like every answer is designed for people who are not going to look up anything she says. Right?
Yeah.
Like when she makes a claim, It's meant for people who are not going to look up what she says at all. And when she's challenged, hey, you're accused of being an anti-Semite because of all these things. It's, let me give you this totally superficial thing, and I'll give this completely superficial response. And it's meant for people who are not under any circumstances going to look anything up, and they're just going to, oh, that's why she's being attacked, just because she's brave, just because she's courageous, just because she happened to have disagreed with something that Netanyahu did. That's why she's being targeted. It's not because she's saying things about, drinking Christian blood and stuff like that, and Jews being behind the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and Jews being behind the war in Ukraine, and Jews being behind everything, Jews doing all this, Jews melting the polar ice caps, Jews blah, 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 blah. It's not because of all that stuff.
I mean, she just happens to be one of those people who probably abduct people and abduct children and then kill them in their basement and drink their blood. Which I'm not saying that this is a fact. I'm just saying that I'm just asking questions.
Just asking questions. We're just asking questions. Why is no one talking about Candace Owens being part of a sex cult?
I'm literally in danger of being killed for just saying this.
I know. We both are. Guys, if we both die, just know it's because we crossed Candace's possible. We don't know, but it's just suspicious that no one's talking about the demonic bowel worshipping sex cult that Candace may be part of in her basement, where they sacrifice children after molesting them.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. We're just asking questions, but we'll probably die because we're the ones asking the questions. But we will not be silenced by Candace's hypothetical sex cult that sacrifices children after having sex with them. We won't be silenced by them. So, guys, we're brave. We're brave. We just said a bunch of insane stuff, but we're the brave ones. We're the brave ones here. So we're the good guys.
Why are people following and defending a person who is possibly abducting little children and then having sex with them and then drinking their blood and killing them? What's wrong with people? Evil, sick times.
Evil, sick time. Couples just wanted to get, because there's a particular super chat that is breaking news. So Tovia shouldn't talk, let alone be a singer. You don't know. He may be the best singer in the world. Pierce, it's the Jews. Look at the comments to see the gropers who agree with me. They're clearly the arbiters of credibility and authority. Guys, we're laughing at that, but that's literally what she just said. Check the comments, because anytime she posts anything, the gropers follow her along, cheer her on, agree with her, and then you say, you see, it's like a Dawa guy saying, oh, I just said this, and people say, what are you talking about? That's demonstrably false. But look, all my followers agree with me. Yeah, you've programmed them to do that. That does not mean you're right. You giant clowns. Anyway, the breaking news we have here is Houthi missile just hit Tel Aviv. I looked it up. Here it is. Houthi missile impacts Tel Aviv. A ballistic missile launched by Yemen's Houthis struck central Tel Aviv early this morning, causing significant damage. The Israeli military confirmed that their air defense systems, including Iron Dome and David's Sling, were unable to intercept the missile. Initial reports indicate 14 people were injured and property damage was extensive, particularly affecting a school in a Tel Aviv suburb. The Houthis have claimed responsibility, escalating tensions in the region. This just in from Candace Owens. The Jews are actually behind this attack, and they're doing it so they can take over Yemen and destroy Yemen and make it part of little Israel.
Oh, damn, I see the video.
Nothing insane here.
I see the video.
I see the video too.
Jeez.
Actually hit. And Muslims
The
say, you
Houthis
see, we're strong, we're very strong.
The Houthis made a statement saying, the heart of the enemy is no longer secure. We have hit them. Israel says 16 lightly hurt, mostly by shattered glass as a response to because of the impact. This is of course what two Houthis are proud of. They're like, we have hereby obliterated the enemy, the Jews.
You see, Allah's with us. After 1 million losses Islam has suffered this year, we broke some glass and cut some people. You see, this is the proof that Allah supports us.
Well, here's the thing, Houthis. Hamas got into a fight. See where they are now. Hezbollah jumped into the fight. See what happened to them.
No, see,
They have been
see where their balls are now. Gone.
Castrated and decapitated.
Literally castrated.
The Houthis have not listened since the beginning and keep firing rockets while their own population is starving. I hope Israel responds appropriately to this and wipes them off the map. The Houthis.
Houthis have to be nuts at this point, right? You just watched everyone that was being backed by Iran get crushed. Houthis are the Iran-backed group there. And hey, let's start it off. We know Iran can't protect us anymore, so let's start fights with everybody. Yay! Idiots. And then they're going to get crushed, and then it's going to be, oh my goodness, the poor Houthis, look what Israel did to them. Oh my goodness, why? Why? Though, will the genocide never stop?
There are so many gropers in the chat. They're like, "Oh, you can't criticize, you can't say anything about the Jews." Yeah, it's always the same thing. Accuse the Jews of being behind everything bad going on. Accuse them of drinking blood and abducting children and being evil and demons and this and that. And then when you call them anti-Semitic, they're like, "I can't say anything about Jews."
This is the proof that Jews are controlling everything. You see.
I mean, why don't you guys just follow your favorite leader and do what he did in the end?
Yeah, he's not going to name who your favorite leader is, but AP is saying, why don't you follow? If you love him so much, why don't you do what he did? We're not naming any names here.
Yeah, why don't you write a book or paint things? See?
Elon says, I don't understand why it's acceptable for Candace to charge $1,500 per minute, but as a Jew, I'm not allowed to lend with interest. Good point. And Nasara
it's not even a joke. Check it out. Google Candace Owens Minnect, Minnect. It's a new app that was started by by Patrick, by David. She was invited as one of those people to sign up early on and to be a creator there. And she, as soon as she created her profile, that is still up, it's still there. She actually charges. You can apply to have a video chat with her for 15 minutes minimum.
Quite a bargain.
And per minute, it is $1,500.
Pretty good.
But you have to pay for 15 minutes minimum, and per minute is $1,500.
Cha-ching!
$22,500.
And Nasara says, they're cowards and will never stand their ground if challenged on a topic. They always backpedal or change the topic. Spineless cowards and grifters. Not sure who you're talking about or which side. Thank you, Dean LaFleur. No comment. Human shrunken heads, lampshade, and soap, all lies. What's this about? Is this saying that Candace has all this stuff in her house?
No, what this is in reference to early rumors about the Holocaust, that the Nazis were turning Jews into soaps and lampshades and things like that. Some of which turned out to be exaggerated rumors that were debunked by the the Holocaust memorial museums and so on themselves. But of course, this is a perfect opportunity for these for Nazis to say, "Oh, look, this turned out to be false. Therefore, the entire Holocaust is a lie." Mm-hmm. That's not how it works, you imbeciles, you 60 IQ morons, you apes, you disgusting dumb idiots. Yep. This is not how it works.
Yeah, it's the same thing with when the October 7th attack happened. You had like early reports coming in that all these children are being beheaded because a reporter said something on TV and so on. And then later on, as more information comes in, you say, oh, this or that was wrong. This was that. How's that work? It's yes, right after something happens, it's very easy while people are starving for news to hear something and then to spread it around before it's been confirmed. What happens? Then there are investigations. Then you find out. Then you could say, oh, we heard this. It didn't happen. We heard that. It didn't happen. We heard that. It didn't happen. But these other things, yes, these have been confirmed. And what do morons do? No, but look, they said this happened and it didn't happen. Therefore, nothing happened. It's all made up. Stupid. And then we have even OSS propaganda. What's OSS? What's OSS propaganda?
I don't care.
Don't know either. Do a piece on the Talmud would be helpful. Didn't we do an entire show going through the Talmud?
Yeah.
On IP's channel?
You should do a piece on it. You should read the Talmud on live stream.
Yeah, the whole thing. Oh, that'd be awesome. Like a 6-month live stream. All right, back to Candace and her showing that she's not saying all these things because there's a problem with her. No, it's she's the one who's brave enough to stand against the evil and not back down.
Black America, calling me a race traitor, a self-hating black person, whatever it was. I don't view Jewish people to be some exception where you're allowed to now call everybody anti-Semites because you can't actually debate what Bibi Netanyahu is doing and why so many people around the world are not comfortable with it. So,
Hey, quick question. I don't want to keep interrupting her because wanted to get through some of this. But how many debates has Pierce had on what Netanyahu's doing?
Many.
A bunch. Like we could literally go through them every day. He's had a ton. She's sitting here and saying, hey, guys, I found out that you are not allowed to even have a debate on what Netanyahu is doing. She's saying this to a guy who has hosted, 40 debates on what's been going on. And she's saying that I found out that you're not allowed to even debate this. And that's why I'm being attacked, but I will not back down. It's insane, idiotic nonsense that's meant for her moron followers who are just, oh, she's so brave, stunning and brave. She's lying to your faces. You can't even debate this. On what planet can you not debate this? You're literally sitting in front of a guy who has hosted dozens of debates on this, and you're saying you found out that you can't debate this.
Hey, this is funny. I just asked ChatGPT.
Lying idiot. What?
I asked ChatGPT how long would it take to read the entire Talmud in one sitting with the reasonable breaks, such as minimal sleeping and bathroom breaks only, but no eating and no drinking. Says adjusting it accordingly. If you would read if you go for a very unhealthy amount of sleeping. You would probably read like 18 to 20 hours every day. If you do this consistently, you would finish it all within about 50 to 75 days.
Well worth it, AP. Get on it, AP. Get on it. Just leave a little bit extra time for live streams. Other than that, there's nothing you need to do in life. So focus on that.
The general rule is that people who study 1 page per day of the Talmud finish their studies within 7 years. And then you have idiots going online and have you looked at the Talmud? Do you know what the Talmud says?
I'm the master of the Talmud. I got this meme from Nick Fuentes.
I saw a meme.
Yes, they can award that all they want. People are mocking it. It's now become like cartoonish. And they have, unfortunately or fortunately, completely removed the power from that term.
What is your view of Jewish people?
They've completely removed the significance of the term anti-Semitism because they're applying it to people like me. And all I do is spread every insane conspiracy theory about any Jew ever. And they're applying it to me. Well, now there's no meaning to the term because what if there were an actual anti-Semite here?
All I'm saying is that Jews are behind all the evil in the world.
Yeah,
that's why I'm called anti-Semitic.
Yeah, all I do is I say that they started the war in Ukraine and they're behind the Catholic Church sex scandals and they killed John F. Kennedy. What? See, you're going to apply that to me? Come on, don't be crazy.
People of Judaism.
Yeah,
for the record, what's your view?
My view is that Judaism is a faith.
What?
Israel is a state, and it is not above critique. And that what Bibi Netanyahu has done to the Palestinians since October 7th is a Holocaust. It is a Holocaust that has been
So she said it's a genocide. She says a Holocaust. So it's a genocide and a Holocaust. All right, here we have
committed on Palestinian children and women. And I'm not going to quiet my perspective on that, to kowtow to whatever the prevailing narrative.
Wait. You can't just go past the Holocaust claim without...
I wasn't planning to. I was planning on letting her finish her statement before you rudely interrupt her.
I don't care. You can't say a Holocaust. There is no such thing as a Holocaust. You can say it was a genocide. You can say a Holocaust.
You can say a Holocaust.
This is a
she
typical...
just did. You can't tell people what they can and can't say.
Tactic, a typical strategy at trying to minimize the Holocaust and to be honest, this might be something that she might be doing because she actually hasn't ever thought this through and doesn't know much about it, because she is also an imbecile aside from being a liar and a hateful person. The Holocaust is specifically the actions that Nazis undertook against the Jewish population, or mostly the Jewish population in Germany. That includes amounts of genocide and all kinds of different things. It is the Holocaust. It is not a Holocaust. It is the Holocaust. Taking the Holocaust and turning it into a Holocaust and then describing other things as Holocaust instead, especially things that Israel does as Holocaust instead, is a very, very typical Nazi way of minimizing the Holocaust, and it's called inverse Holocaust something.
Don't make things up.
It's a typical strategy to attack Jews. She is being brazenly anti-Semitic right here, and then she complains about it. Look, if you are actually not anti-Semitic, and you and you are sad, you are upset because people call you anti-Semitic, okay, we get it, right? But she is actually repeating all of the anti-Semitic propaganda and then complaining that she's being called anti. There is no greater anti-Semitic right now in this during this year who has had more influence on anti-Semitism than you, Candace Owens. You are a #1 anti-Semite for a reason, because you are stupid and idiotic and imbecilic, or because you are deliberately doing this. You are using typical anti-Jewish, pro-Holocaust, pro-Nazi, or Holocaust denying talking points to attack Jews. No other reason at all.
I actually don't have a problem with saying a Holocaust, as long as you're basically saying it's like the Holocaust. Here's another thing that's like the Holocaust. But Pierce actually calls her out. She's like, he's about to say, wait, you're not saying that these are the same things. That what's going on now, and she insists that, yes, it is. But guys, again, look at what she just did, because she does this every time. She has done a ton of stuff which makes her sound like a complete anti-Semitic lunatic, right? Every deranged conspiracy theory, every time there's a Jewish sex cult killing kids behind the scenes, she's on board with that theory. It's true. They're behind everything. Then when she gets called an anti-Semite because of it, it's just because I'm against the genocide of children. It's almost like the Mott and Bailey fallacy, but I can't even use that here because this is significantly sloppier than the Mott and Bailey fallacy. But then the reason people are attacking her is just because she's against what Netanyahu's doing. He's carrying out a Holocaust. He's carrying out a genocide against the women and children. She's just trying to defend the children, and they're trying to silence her because she's objecting to the killing of women and children. Guys, is that what people are objecting to? Matter of fact, same problem once again, and I wish Pierce had pointed this out. Pierce could have said right here, what are you talking about? I have called out Netanyahu repeatedly. I was not even mentioned for Anti-Semite of the Year. What you're saying you are called Anti-Semite of the Year for is what I do every day on my show. Why are they? There has to be some other reason they're coming after you. Stop lying about what you're doing. That is not what you just said they're attacking you for. It can't possibly be what they're attacking you for, because what you just said you just did, that's what I do every single day in every single show. And a ton of my guests do the exact same thing. They're not called anti-Semites. They didn't win Anti-Semite of the Year. So nice try. Better luck next time. What's the real reason you won Anti-Semite of the Year? That's what he should have said, but he didn't. But he does challenge her on the
so beautiful, and they're jealous.
They're just mad. They just have a problem with women. There's just the Jews just have a problem with women. They don't like strong women, especially strong black women. That's why they're coming after.
I didn't mean to say Jews. Sorry, I didn't mean to say Jews. Yeah.
I meant Netanyahu. Netanyahu does.
Is at the New York Post.
I had Dan Bilzerian on Uncensored recently. I got to say, it took a pretty shocking turn, the interview. I hadn't fully factored in just how, in my opinion, after talking to him, brazenly anti-Semitic he is. And this included this clip here. Do you not understand?
No, this is weird because
In my opinion,
the stuff he plays from Dan is stuff that Candace, I don't think, is going to disagree with, and I don't think she does. But I think the clips that he shows, and I know Dan is really, really messed up, but the clips he shows is, I'm just saying it's not a total of 6 million. That's it. That's what he's saying. But let's see.
Why Jewish people might feel a sense of victimhood, given that 6 million of them were killed in World War II by a genocidal monster in the Holocaust. Do you not understand why that might make Jewish people feel that, yes, they have indeed been victims?
Yeah, I mean, that figure's been revised. They said that it was 4 million that died in Auschwitz, and then they said it was down to 1 million. So they've revised the figure.
AP, you want to give a quick response, not 10-minute response, quick response to how stupid that was. Hey, AP, we just said after something happens, you can get certain numbers and stuff, and then numbers can be revised. The 6 million, that takes into account the revisions over the decades, doesn't it? Okay, guys, the 6 million estimate, that takes into account, these guys said they killed this many, but it was actually fewer. Once we go through the records, it's actually fewer. The number 6 million, so he's doing the exact same thing. Immediately afterwards, when they're trying to figure out how many they killed at this camp or that camp, some of them were overestimating and so on. Therefore, since some of them were overestimating, then you can't trust any of the numbers and they're all exaggerated. Wait, no. I mean, the 6 million is based on after the dust is settled, after the records have been examined. They end up with a number around 6 million. And he's saying you can't trust that. Why? Because the earliest records, when people were exaggerating, were later investigated and found out to be inflated, and therefore by the Germans themselves.
Nazis themselves who were exaggerating. Nazis themselves. Don't trust somebody who has the brain of a Neanderthal like this guy here, who's sitting here looking like a complete psychopath. You're
jealous of his haircut.
The information about the numbers of the Holocaust were not just made up on the spot. The Nazis themselves overestimated it. Yes. Were the Nazis a bunch of anti-Europe, pro-Jewish propagandists? No. The Nazis themselves, during the Nuremberg trials and outside of it, significantly overestimated the number of Jews that they actually killed in the chambers, because this was something that they kept, which they kept largely a secret. It was a very, very sensitive issue. They knew that what they were doing was unacceptable to others outside, so they were hushing it very, very much. There were only very few who kept records, and apparently Adolf Eichmann was one of those people who didn't keep very good records, but even he himself overestimated the numbers. Rudolf Höss overestimated the numbers, but they were, for example, saying or arguing that they killed over 2.5 million Jews, or 2 million Jews in Auschwitz alone, for example, which turned out to be not true. It was less than that. It was more than 1 million in Auschwitz alone. In total, in the gas chambers and concentration camps, they killed over 2 million Jews. Many others they killed in through death squads and other means, going to a total amount of roughly 6 million Jews. And that is just the Jewish victims. There are also the other victims of the Holocaust, not just Jews. However, this is not arbitrary. This is not something that people are just saying and you can't verify it. This is not something that you can reasonably question but will be shut down. If you actually, again, one of those situations, if there was somebody a little bit slightly informed here to counter what Dan Bilzerian here is saying, he would look like even more like an idiot here. But of course, Pierce is not somebody who is informed on anything.
But you haven't seen the end of it. I think he's just going to say he's just denying the 6 million, and that's it. And you could tell when Pierce hands it back to Candace, expecting Candace to blast him, she clearly, I don't think, disagrees with him.
It's just how many people he said much worse. He said much worse things.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He has said way worse things to point out that. I wouldn't even have a problem with someone thinking I think it's somewhere less than 6 million.
Of course, it is estimated to be around 6 million. It could be between 5.5 and 6 million, somewhere around that range or above.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem. I wouldn't have any problem with someone saying, you know what, I think it may have been a little less. 5.5 somewhere. If they're saying something like that, that's not. These people go, no, it's 20,000. I'm probably only 20,000, something like that. Okay, then you sound like you're absolutely bonkers.
Okay, so
How many people do you?
so the Nazis were a bunch of incompetent morons, I guess. Okay, good.
Yeah. They're trying to wipe them out, and they just they're just really bad at it.
Were killed in the Holocaust?
271,000 that died in Auschwitz.
How many do you think were killed in the Holocaust?
I don't know, but I would bet my entire net worth that it was under 6 million. The evidence all says that it was less than 6 million. I mean, just the mathematics don't work.
Trust me, bro.
You can't cremate that many bodies.
I'm sorry, but I just find that unbelievably offensive, and I'm not even Jewish.
Look, pause.
This is
very,
where
very briefly. We addressed this yesterday too, but nobody has ever claimed that they cremated 6 million bodies.
Yeah, guys, they were
the claim.
Yeah, they killed Jews in a bunch of different ways, namely just shooting them and rounding them up and executing them and burying them and so on. The burning them, that was at particular facilities. So no one's saying that's the only way Jews were executed and all 6 million died in that way. Matter of fact, you do have something along these lines. Let's go through these last couple super chats here. I heard the Houthis love Britney Spears. Hit me, BB, one more time. I suspect he's going to, because a successful rocket attack on Israel, that gets a different response than an unsuccessful rocket attack. So you wanted some attention, Houthis. You're about to get it. Candace says contrarian stuff purely because they're contrarian. She starts with the assumption that we've been lied to about everything and works her way backwards. That's her approach to everything. That's pretty accurate. Let's see. Pious Robot says, have you guys seen Andrew Klavan's satire of the Israel-Palestine conflict 2009? I think you guys would find it funny. He also says a lot of what you've said in the past. Klavan's one-state solution. I don't recall it, but I'm sure I've probably seen it because I used to watch a lot of Andrew Klavan videos when he came out.
That sounds pretty dorky.
You're dorky. Dumber than an earthquake. And then here's the one I wanted to get to. But AP, what about the 6 million cookies analogy?
Don't even get me started.
You've been refuted. All right, so she's just asked to comment on Dan Bilzerian. I think we're going to have to close out with this because it's very late, but let's see.
I'm like you. I think there's been a weaponization of all these things. Whether you're transphobic, you're racist, you're sexist, you're anti-Semitic, whatever it may be, you're Islamophobic. I mean, people just spray this stuff around all the time to the extent where it does become meaningless. And actually, people who are genuinely are those things, they get caught up in the wash and almost protected by the kind of wash of stuff. But when you hear someone like Dan Bilzerian, what do you feel about someone like him?
Yeah, so I actually didn't watch that interview, so I haven't seen it in its full context, and I try never to weigh in on clips because there'll be something I'm missing, and then everybody screams at me. But what I will say is this. The larger discussion that's happening right now is whether or not having survived a Holocaust gives you the permission to commit a Holocaust. And for whatever reason, people have been, what I would say, milking the Holocaust narrative in the same way that Black Americans were milking the slavery narrative and essentially saying, like, we lived through this and we survived this. And so now nobody can say that anything we do is wrong. And that's the big issue today, is that.
Is anyone saying no one can ever say that Israel or that any Jew has done something wrong? Guys, ladies and gentlemen, do not fall for this. Don't fall for it with us. Don't fall for it with her. Don't fall for it with anyone. If I say a bunch of completely deranged, easily debunkable conspiracy nonsense, and then you ask me about it, and then I say, oh, well, they're just trying to silence anyone who ever criticizes anything, and then they use this to do it. Always pause and think. Is that what people are objecting to? What you're saying now that was the only thing you did, is that what people are objecting to? Are people flipping out on her because she says, I care about Palestinian children? Is anyone saying that against her?
I just have one message to those who say that she was good and she went off the rails. She was always like this. If you agreed with her at some point in the past because she said some things that you agreed with, but now you think that she's fully unhinged and gone off the rails, you just so happen to be now on a different side of a certain conflict where she has the exact same attitude. Sorry to say. If you agreed with her at some point, I would say it was a very, very bad choice and mistaken of you. She has always been a liar. She has always been a grifter, always cherry-picked quotes, always made up things to suit her agenda. And she got away in the past with it. And she thinks she can now do this with every topic because she talked about black issues as a black person. Would I or somebody else get quite the same comfort and treatment if we repeatedly talked about black people and acted as if black people are just a bunch of opportunist, lazy people who are, non-productive and who just keep getting stuck on one bad thing that happened to them? Boo-hoo, enslavement. Ooh, who cares? Would we get the very same treatment that she gets? No. Because she is black, she was picked out, fished out by opportunists and put on a plate because they thought, oh, look at this. There is a black woman who agrees with us. We can have her on board and she can say everything that we want to say and be totally fine with it and get away with it. So they put her there and she started blasting at black people and the slavery narrative and everything that is out there. And she got away with it indeed. Now she's doing the very same thing with Jews and Israel, but doing it in a much, much worse way, appealing to Nazis, appealing to Holocaust denial, appealing to literal mass murderers who joining in all kinds of lies against Jews. She was doing similar things on a much smaller scale when she was cherry picking quotes from slaves, slave owners, activists, even pro-abortion activists. Like I would say that her activism on the whole abortion thing was largely justified, in my opinion. However, even there, if you want to look at the details, you don't have to agree with somebody just because they're on your board. She was one of those people who were having the abortion debate in a full-blown dishonest way, cherry-picking things, misrepresenting quotes in order to make her point. She has always been like this. You don't have to respect her or like her just because she is on your side.
Okay, so
there are others who have always been on the same side with her, but who are actually respectable people. She is not one of them. She's a liar. She's ignorant, and she just needs to shut up, honestly.
So AP, based on what we know about her, if she were, suppose she got even more, so suppose she's coming out against abortion and. But suppose she dialed up, like misquoting her critics, and then started tossing all these started adding accusations that actually these pro-choice people are part of an evil satanic child sacrifice cult, and they're offering up these aborted babies to Moloch. And we know this and she made up all these claims, and then someone said, wait a minute, that you sound insane. It's one thing to criticize abortion, but you're saying that there's this this child sacrifice cult where they're actually worshiping Moloch and they're actually aborting these babies as an offering up to Moloch and so on. How do you defend that? Hey, look, this is look, everyone. This is just what This is just what happens when someone is pro-life. When someone is pro-life, they come after us and attack us like this, and it's like, wait, no. We're talking about you being pro-life. We're talking about you.
I can't even talk about this.
You see, the pro-life crowd, they control the world and they're behind everything. They started the Ukraine war. Interesting.
We have so many people that will not recognize that it is totally feasible that a Jewish person, and I'm speaking here about Bibi Netanyahu, could do something as horrific as what was done to the Jews throughout World War II or throughout.
Did you just say he's doing something that was as horrific as what was done to the Jews? Did she just say that? That what has happened in Palestine, what has happened is as horrific as what happened to the Jews? Did she just say that?
Play it again.
I'm backing it up. I'm backing this thing up. Back that thing up.
And that's the big issue today, is that we have so many people that will not recognize that it is totally feasible that a Jewish person, and I'm speaking here about Bibi Netanyahu, could do something as horrific as what was done to the Jews throughout World War II.
Did you just hear it? He has done something. You guys, you just heard it, right? Dude, guys, if I didn't know anything else, if I heard someone say, I don't care who it is. If you just said what just happened in Gaza is as horrific as what happened to the Jews in the Holocaust, I would think you're a complete freaking lunatic just based on that. I would not trust anything you say until you come back and correct that and make it not completely insane. That would be ball game right there. So just to be clear, ladies and gentlemen, rounding up tons of Jews, just executing a bunch of them, sending others to work in death camps until you toss them in ovens, and sorting through. Oh, these are ones that can work right now, so we'll keep these and let them work. We'll work them to death. These others, they're not fit for working, so they're too old or too young or something like that. We'll just toss them in the ovens, or poison them and so on. The idea that what's happening in Gaza, where you had a bunch of terrorists cross over into Israel, take a bunch of hostages, kill a bunch of people, run back, hide in tunnels, and then Israel comes to hunt them down, but they're using people as human shields. And at the end of it, they still have about between the two extremes. If you go with the Hamas figures or you go with the Israel figures, whatever you want to go with, they're between a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 civilian to combatant death ratio. And she's saying it's as bad as what happened to Jews in World War II. I think you're freaking nuts. Candace, with that alone, you sold me on the claim that you are a grifting, garbage, terrible person. And every one of you right here who is defending, she's absolutely right. What's happening right now in Gaza as Israel hunts down Hamas jihadis, it's just as bad as what happened to the Jews in the Holocaust. And that's why we can call it another Holocaust. And the Jews are using one Holocaust to justify this Holocaust. I'm done, Candace. You're a joke. You're a freaking walking clown emoji.
You know what Israel has been doing to
and so is everyone who's agreeing with her on that. I don't care what kind of groper you are, whatever, what Candace fan, groper, whoever. If you agree with that nonsense, you're a terrible, terrible person. And the fact that you think you're the good people in this discussion shows what a freaking joke you are. All right, go ahead, AP.
What Israel has been doing to the Palestinians is to acknowledge their right to exist and to offer them a peaceful solution. And from the very beginning, consider the possibility that they might establish their own state, or at least an autonomy within a greater state or something like that. This option was considered in 1948. It was given to them in 1948, 1967, 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, early 2000s, 2010s, and so on. And has been very much since the Palestinian Arabs have never accepted it, because they have a problem with it all, because they have a problem with the existence of Jews and the Jewish state. At least Israel has allowed them to exist within the territories that they partly control, and to also work inside Israel. This is what Israel is doing. As a result of repeated terrorist attacks, Israel is now waging a war to wipe out terrorist cells once and for all. What Nazis did in the Holocaust was to round up, declare unfit for life, declare inferior and poisonous and evil and unfit to life, and thereby want to wipe out every single Jew out there, no matter what he has done, with no right to exist. As long as Jews exist, evil will be there. We have to purify the human race and make it all Aryan. That was their idea. Have to wipe out Jews, wipe out Roma, wipe out other minorities, wipe out black people when it comes to it. Funny enough, we're sitting here with a black person who defends Hitler and the Nazis. Wipe out other inferior populations, and so on. This was their idea. And because of their idea, they started rounding up. They made a map with Jews per region, an estimate of how many Jews live here, how many Jews live there, and how many need to be killed to make those places Judenfrei, free from Jews. The eventual goal was to defeat the Soviet Union and Great Britain and the Allies, and go down to the Middle East and also eradicate the Jews there. This was their system. She really thinks that these two behaviors, these two treatments of minorities are same thing. If you agree with this, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't care about your opinion. I don't care who you are. I think you need to shut down, log off, delete everything that you do online, and never show yourself again in public, or just admit to being a horrible person and a hateful individual. Don't claim to have good morals, good standards. Don't claim to care about the truth. Don't act like these other people are the bad guys. You are the bad guys. And please don't speak in the name of Christianity.
C says, get off Israel's nuts, David. Just move. By the way, AP, when I was saying the other day, like anything you say, they just go, oh, why are you licking Israel's balls? Why are you on Israel's nuts? That's their only response. Look at this. Just move there, my Christian brother, and see how you're treated. AP, didn't we go to Israel? I've been to Israel multiple times.
Yeah.
We saw how we were treated. Anyone ever mistreat us there, AP?
Not a single person.
And AP, did I or did I not interview a Messianic Jew? This is a Jew who has followed Jesus as the Messiah. Did I or did I not interview a Messianic Jew who has been preaching in Israel for the past 20 years, and he has said there has only been one situation where things ever became physical.
So there has been an instance. That one instance, you see.
Yeah, you see, therefore all Jews. What did he say? He said most Jews, when he tells them that he follows Jesus as the Messiah, he said most Jews that he talks to are actually interested. And they ask him why, and they sit there and listen because they find it intriguing that what? You actually follow Jesus like the Christians do? Why is that? Says they're interested in it. So C, where are you getting the idea that if I go to Israel, they're just going to beat me up and spit on me and kill me? Where are you getting that idea? Because you follow people like Candace and Nick Fuentes and all the other lying anti-Semitic
comrade, you
clown
retarded.
emojis.
Jews hate Christians.
Stupid idiot. All right, we're gonna.
Majority of Jews don't spend a second in their lifetime thinking about Christians. What do you think? Look, I want to say this again. All those who are all day here blasting Jews and acting like they're evil people, demons, and so on, and they deserve what's coming. Don't you guys realize that if Jews were just like you, they could turn around and say, "Look, guys, look at how Christians talk about us all day long." Don't you guys realize this?
Mm-hmm.
Are you people all retarded collectively? I'm sorry, I'm losing my patience with these people.
Yeah, guys, see, let me break down what AP just said. Think about this. You sit around Jews. But what about the Jews? AP's pointing out Jews aren't paying the slightest bit of attention to you. They don't care. But you're sitting there saying Jews are all they're sitting back there conspiring, talking about destroying us and how we have to destroy them. You see, this is what Jews do. And they're not doing that at all. But if Jews acted like you, they would be, according to you, entirely justified in going, look at what C says, look at what Candace says, look at what these Christians say. Look, this is what Christians do. They're all trying to conspire against us, to destroy us. There's so many of them. They control so many things. They're trying to get us. They're trying to kill us. Oh my goodness, look at what Christians are doing. And they'd be entirely justified because it's exactly what you do. What a bunch of clowns. All right, well, we'll end on that. We'll take these last couple of super chats. And then
I know this hurts, but I have to say it. To all those who engage in anti-Jewish behavior all day, every day, Jews are better people than you.
That's true. That's true. To be clear, not all Jews. You could have a horrible person who's a Jew. We're just talking about your average Jew is a much far superior person to any groper out there. Any groper. Yeah. All right, AP. I didn't get through half the stuff that I wanted to cover. We were going to get to the Liberty incident and so on because Candace loves to bring that up. I don't know if you want to do a part 2 on your channel. There is still a ton of stuff. We didn't get through half the stuff because you talk too long. Anyway, I'll take these last couple of super chats. The terrorist loved AP. He was a Zionist.
Yeah,
that's true.
Powerful.
Why don't people like Candace go help the poor, starving people of Palestine? These people are as sharp as an eraser and have no points. Side note, just saw a funny music video someone made of you two. Look up Tell Me by Sal. A bunch of people, including, I think, AP, have sent me that today. I have not seen it, Sal. I look forward to watching that as soon as we're done.
I started listening to it and I started cracking up. It's actually very good.
Okay, we're going to check that. Sal does some bangers, man. Sal does some absolute bangers. So, yes, I will definitely be checking that out. Wow, Candace is almost as bad as Mike Winger. Guys, I've said a lot of stuff about Candace, but let's not go too far. Let's not be like them and exaggerating. Come on. D. Wood, many people know nothing about war. They think it's like Call of Duty. Yeah, and Candace does as well. If I recall, as this goes on, when Pierce asks her, okay, what should Israel have done? She's like, nope, they should have just been extremely tactical and not hurt any civilians, just been very tactical.
You go do that. You go do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. AP, what do you want to do tomorrow?
I don't know. Talk about how hopeless society is. Probably.
Yeah, we can. It's Exhibit A. We've got Candace Owens here and her fans. Powerful stuff. All right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow for more powerful stuff about powerful topics with super-based D. Wood and AP. All you gripers, crybabies, sniveling crybabies, all you anti-Jewish scumbags who are watching, be sure to join us because we'll have more stuff that hurts your feelings and makes you feel bad and makes you go, oh, you see the Jews are paying them. Oh my goodness, what a bunch of losers. Catch y'all next time.